African look.
What?
It's not.
Due
It's
to
not.
what?
The Arabs actually look like North Africans.
But
It's
due to
not the other way around.
Are you saying that because like I hear Chief X bring up the Berbers all the time, like, and I'd be like, well, does he understand that the Berbers were an amalgamation of people also? It weren't just white people or Europeans or whatever. Like they were a whole bunch of different people. Even the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were sailors. Like they used to conquer the sea. They were sea people. So they used to.
They ran that Mediterranean. They ran the Mediterranean for one. They
So
was like one of the only.
People. They were all type of different, like I said, an amalgamation of people that were those people. That's why you have lighter skinned people or whatnot in the third, but they came from other people mixing together.
Yeah,
like
for
all
40,
of the people in
for
North
up
Africa.
to 40. Let me say this too, also, see that, brother. You understand, and now I didn't understand a lot of this myself, so I just want to qualify that, right? But I want to ask, do you understand that it only takes like 1,000 or 1,500 years for your genetics to start to mutate? So when you're talking about a 40,000 year period, how long would it take for somebody to leave out of Africa, for a group to leave out of Africa, right? Mix in with Eurasians, right? And then come back in, right? To people who've already deviated from the original, because it's people who didn't leave, right? But they still were staying in one place, right? But they had enough time to have genetic mutations also. So these Eurasians that are coming back into Africa, right? They're coming. They've been there. They came back and they've been in North Africa so long. My question is, how long does it take for you to become indigenous? Because we know, I do know one thing. I do know is the Indians came over here, right, to North America, right? They came over here, and it was only 10,000 years ago, right?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Well, the consensus, we'll say this. We'll say the consensus is that the Indians came over here 10,000 years ago. Now, we classify those Indians. I wouldn't
call it a consensus. I would call it a theory. So the consensus means that everybody or the majority of people agree. And I don't think the majority of people agree. I think that there are
the majority of scientists, the majority of people who are in that field agree with that.
Agree that Native Americans came to Africa.
No, not to Africa, to America. They came from the Bering Strait, right? And down through Alaska and down through California and all of that.
I thought you were saying Africa, so that's why I was like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm saying America.
Where they talk about cocaine was in the coffins and shit. Like that's what I thought you were talking about. That's why I said that's not a consensus. But okay, I got you.
I hear you. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. But yeah, so my point is that we consider those Native Americans indigenous to the Americas, right? So now we go back over to North Africa and we have these Eurasians that's done back migrated into Africa 40,000 years ago, right? So now how long, because we know that the Indians have been here for 10,000 and they indigenous, right? So how long would it take for those Eurasians to become indigenous to Africa?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't make that.
I'm cool with that.
One thing about me, bro,
if you say I'm not sure, I'm fine. I'm not gonna push you no more. I'm fine.
Yeah, it's not something that I would be able to classify because I'm not sure what determines as indigenous other than being the first people on a certain land. So if they weren't the first people and they actually, or if they like a different people came back than what left, then technically those people that came back wouldn't be the same people.
And they would be a mix. They would have they would have some different genetic components. But
and when they came back, overall, did they mix with the people or did they kill off the people?
No, they mixed with them.
Okay, so that would be classified as the like because I would agree with you because that's what I was reading earlier about the genetic makeup of Egypt. The genetic makeup is mostly Arab. And the reason I say that it's mostly Arab, I mean, the reason I think that it's mostly Arab is not because just of ancient migration. I think it's mostly Arab because of a political stance that they took in controlling the northern parts of Africa, which is also their access with trade with Europe. So I think it was a
Well,
strategic
I agree
thing
with the
for the
latter
Arab
part.
people
The
to
latter
take
part
over
of your
northern Africa.
statement was, yeah, I agree with the latter part of you say. You saying that they taking on the Arab name, or you saying that they taking on the identity of Arab because of political reasons, right?
And because I think they also had migration into those portions of Africa. Actually, I think that was, if I'm
Well,
not mistaken, I'm trying to look it up right quick and make sure.
imperialism.
But I think that was part of one of the large migrations or whatever, in history or whatnot. Hold on, it might have been just African Americans, transatlantic slave trade, 20 million Africans to the Americas,
You're
great
talking about
migration of
transparency.
American. Recent Syrian refugee crisis. Okay, no, that's more so recent too. So I have to dig into that
Those are
some
all
more
recent.
just to figure out exactly, you know what I mean, exactly when a lot of the Arab population moved into northern Africa. Because like I said, it doesn't just sit in Egypt, it actually stretches all the way across northern Africa, and that's why they try to
Absolutely.
separate it.
But
Northern Africa
the
and the
Arab,
rest of it.
again, like I was saying earlier, the Arabs came across the whole, and they swept across the whole goddamn Africa, meaning in
Mhm.
Central and Western Africa. They swept
Yeah,
across that whole thing. Mansa
yeah.
Musa, you mentioned
Mansa
Mansa
Musa.
Musa,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah,
He adopted Islam.
right. But they
Hmm.
didn't. When you go to West Africa, the people still there.
Right.
But they
And a lot of the
all
people,
speaking and praying to Allah and speaking Arab
well,
and
not all of them, not
writing
all of them.
Arabic.
A lot of people, a lot of people from Mali still do things like they still practice different religious backgrounds and all that type of stuff. So they're not all Islam over there. You know what I'm saying? A
No,
lot of
I'm
people still
not saying
practice
they all are. A lot of them still do their original practices. But what I'm saying
right.
is,
The politics in North Africa is Islamic control. You know
But
what I mean?
you can't penalize the dark skinned people there who do practice it because it's tied to their social status. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? They
Right. They got to do
they
it.
could be missing out on opportunities because they don't claim Islam. So
right.
Exactly.
And that's what he
so
was
it might
saying that
not
I
be that
agree
they
with
actually
earlier.
believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? It might be doing what they got to do to feed themselves.
Right, I agree, and that's why I say some of the
I think
people
he
that
agree with
stayed.
that.
I think that some of the people that stayed in these regions while they were being, while they were in conflict or whatnot, and the third, because we know Europeans and Arabs murked people based on their religion. Like that
I
was the
guess the
Even
better
thing.
still,
question is,
hold on
I
one
guess.
second. Let me say this
My bad.
one quick point. So even still with that, right? That would have to be the difference between explaining a Western Asian component to a North African, right? Because you would still be considering that person North African. They just having a Western Asian component. When you didn't, if they said it was a Western Asian person with a North African component, then that means that they would be saying that that person is Asian. You know what I'm saying? But they're still saying that they're African. They stayed there and they were mixing with these other people for 30,000 years or however long they were doing it.
Mhm.
Those other people came in and brought their genes, but the other people who were still there, those are Africans, like they would have
Right now, but we also have to take a look at how those people view themselves and why they decided to separate themselves from Black Africans. Like I said, it's a reason why it's a political reason why they want to separate North Africa from South Africa. It's because of the fact that they don't want to be in the same reference when it comes to Black
Sub-Saharan
Africa.
Africans.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think
then
like
you'd be talking about
those
politics and
northeastern.
yeah.
I don't think those northeastern Africans ever fucked with sub-Saharan Africans anyway. Before the Arab expansion, I don't think they never fucked with us.
Yeah, I can see
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah,
I, would, I, I
see that,
wouldn't
but
particularly.
that would have to be a separate conversation from the
Yeah.
population being displaced.
And that would be a conversation that would needed to have some East Africans in the building in order to tell their history of what was going on. Because other than that, all we have is what we given from Europeans in order to study about those people. So I think that if we
the
had
Egyptians
a more
kept
of a
pretty
connection to those
elaborate.
people to have the conversation, it'll be better.
Egyptians kept pretty elaborate records. But did you hear that though? I think the ancient Egyptians kept pretty elaborate records all the way up to modern time. So, like in
It's
their
one of the key
records,
features of their civilization.
pretty much in their records, right? They never fuck with us like that for real anyway.
I don't know about that because I think a lot of records were destroyed, you know what I'm saying, in wars and conflicts and things like that.
The Southerners,
we've been subjugated by the Egyptians. Like they didn't subjugate it. It's not us specifically, but black Africans have been subjugated by Egyptians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, it depends on what Egyptians you're talking about.
What I'm saying is from the old kingdom to the new kingdom, right? Till right now, all the way up to right now, right?
At one point, Nubians was beating the dog shit out of Egypt. So like,
that's another key.
So you had black Africans that were dominating shit at certain points in time. Like I said, it was always been Africa has never been one united continent of black people. Even when you talk about the different black tribes, we've always been at war with each other. So it's never been this unified moment that it needs to be in Africa. But if it was, I don't think Africa would have ever been conquered. Number one. But I think that it's always been infighting within the continent. So I think and that's always been my issue as a Pan-African. That's always been one of the things that, you know what I'm saying, I'm against is in the infighting in Africa.
But that's not being an African then, if you're against that. Right? Because one thing about being African is when you on that continent, right? You're not African no more. See y'all doing this African thing, but you ain't African when you there on the continent. You what you are Ghanaian or whatever tribe you from, Asante and these other things. Because
you just talked about Wodi Maya.
No,
you just talked about Wodi Maya. And I know people like Julius Malema, PLO Lumumba, King Soul, King Said So. Like it's a lot of different Africans who will disagree with you, who will say, yes, we do consider all of us Africans. And that we they try to find ways in order to unify the different tribes and different cultures of the continent. So that's why Wodi Maya. But that's why. But that's the thing. Wodi Maya is not in politics. That brother just, you know what I mean, he just promotes Africa.
You're talking about this unification, all that's political stuff. You're not talking about the population, the migration. That's totally separate conversation. Yeah.
Well, the reason that you can migrate,
they certainly can't be talking about uniting Africa genetically.
Because I brought up the subjugation.
No, nobody who talks about.
I'm stay out of it. Corey doing a good job. I'm gonna mute up. Go ahead, Corey.
These are usually
I'm like other opinions in there.
What's going on, brother Reggie?
Okay, fine. So these are the usual bad arguments.
Oh my Lord!
These are usual bad arguments for non-educated people on the subject. So when you apply the same arguments to Europeans and Asians, that falls short. So it only becomes an attack on African populations. So when we look at modern Africa versus ancient Africa, right? Well, and when we look at the slave trade from the Europeans' eyes, they classified us based on populations. So if so the population argument helps us even better. So yeah, populations fought against populations in both Europe, Asia, and these modern day continents. So those type of arguments fall short. So I wanted to just to step back and deal with the subject that I originally saw on YouTube, as to whether Arabs and Berbers enslaved their own people. Because again, I'm dealing with a non-educated his pop group. The fact of the matter is that Islam, when Islam came to the places called Arabia, those places, and then it came to North Africa, uh, the issue was if you were not a Muslim, you would be enslaved. And so the peoples did, when they became Islamized, they did enslave people that were not Muslims. So they did, in fact, enslave their own people, right? But they enslaved their own people not based on any racial. They enslaved their own people based on not being Muslims, and then not being a type of Muslims because there were many fights in North Africa and Arabia, right? Based on based on particular uh, kind of cultish groups, right? So, uh, so I just think that it's okay to come on and talk about these subjects, but if you don't have a clear analysis of history, you just you you hurt our intelligentsia, the intelligentsia of our people, right? You just hurt it because you are just ignorant, right? And then you're spreading this virus of ignorance to our people when a lot of these conversations is just if you had a historical analysis, you can make up better arguments, but you make us sound stupid as a people. Like just because you stupid doesn't mean that our people are stupid. And these all of these little micro arguments sometimes that we have is just silly. They don't make any point. They don't move anything further, right? At all. It's just not even barbershop talk. It's wino talk. Barbershop talk is more informed. It's wino talk, and you're supposed to be goddamn professionals in your field. And you hurt our people because you put in all these little arguments that are not how can I say that have no real grounds. So yes, Arabs is a people group in a geographical area. Did they enslave their own people? Yes, based on religion. So did the Berbers. Now, if you want to talk about the Garamati groups of people, right? That's in the earlier phase
Logic mute.
of that. So I'm just saying, y'all here on this got to do. You really got to do better. You're making um, silly arguments. I would have loved to be. I know that you pulled the earlier point on dealing with FBA. Um, y'all have my contacts, right?
Yeah.
I could clearly show that the FBA movement is under the 14th Amendment equal protection law using ancestry. That fake lineage based stuff does not work. I could clearly show that in law, right? And it's easy. It's really easy. So those groups of people, they don't know yet. They don't know yet that in law they can't get what they're asking based on ancestry. And is there anybody on the chat that knows law, federal law? Anybody on this chat? Because see, that's
A
the
little
problem.
bit.
Oh, who's this?
I see that.
I see that. Yeah, see
Yes, sir.
that.
See that.
So the equal protection laws is really simple, right? You can't make any racial or ancestry arguments, right? You just can't do that in equal protection law. And then if you try to do it, you have to do it with specificity, and then you find out that you really can't do it. And then the last reparations case, it failed because of ancestry arguments, right? And then there's the Adiran versus Pena case that simply, and it went to the Supreme Court that you can't use ancestry arguments in. So you can't get they can't get what they're asking for. And so what they're doing is costing cities and states and counties millions of dollars of litigation when they get attacked by equal protection conservative groups. And it is proven true that we have almost lost all things except for Asheville, because Asheville did it. They did it differently based on people that are harmed. So we have to have a harm-based movement, not an ancestry-based movement. So all these attacks against, yes,
Reggie, one thing, because I'm are you talking about? Are you because you're talking about FBA and then you're talking about? I'm assuming that you're also talking about reparations, the
yes,
reparations argument. Okay,
yes,
because I was kind of getting confused because FBA is just some weird stuff. That's a little thing Tyreek Nasheed done made up in order to make a movement or whatever. The terminology came from Dr. Claude Anderson, but the movement came from Tariq Nasheed. And it's been pretty
right,
much
correct,
bastardized and made
right,
into a whole white supremacist movement where we adopt all of these white supremacist ideologies and try to push them forward. We also
right.
abandon our Africanness in order to adopt this whole American psychology. And things like that. So it's I think that you had like we have arguments that have been made for reparations. And I think that a lot of the arguments that are made for reparations aren't like nonsensical. I would think that they are very good arguments, especially the argument to even study reparations in the first place. I think that was brilliantly done. And I think that white supremacy in general is what keeps reparations from being a topic in the courts. Oh, well, not in the courts, because the courts have already determined that they don't want to have the conversation. And we also look at Congress.
Well, the
Congress has
courts,
also voted that they don't want
actually,
to
the
have the
courts,
conversation.
actually,
Hold on one second.
you said something that was not true.
Hold on one second, please. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Brother Reggie, that video was a pre-recording. Do you think that's a conversation we should bring back on the channel, maybe the FBA or reparations
Yes,
conversation? Okay.
yes. I think
Yeah,
that,
that was a pre-recording, so that
yeah,
probably
because I
some of
was
the
on
people
it
who are
earlier.
around now,
Yeah.
weren't
So,
in our group.
so I think who the brothers that I'm talking to have good arguments. Reparations is something that we can still pursue. We just can't pursue it with uh, words such as ancestry, right, and black, right. Now, for some of you say, well, that's a problem. Well, it's really not a problem because we could pursue it statewide, right, on specific populations that was disenfranchised, and then we could show harm. We don't have to do my great grandmama, right? We don't have to do that. We can do it with disparate impact, right? Attorney Ogletree helped us with a lot of the terms in which we could use before he passed. Ill-gotten gains. States continued the importation of African slaves, breaking their own laws after 1804, right? And so we have evidence of that. Because of that, right? Because of that, populations were harmed, right? Now you're saying, well, Brother Reggie, you're using wordplay. No, I'm not using wordplay because when I talk about harming populations, people think that the reason why the Japanese got reparations is because of uh, race, ancestry. No, they got reparations because they were harmed, right? A particular population was harmed during that particular period, right? So the crafting in law has a lot to do with the terms in which you use. So you don't use prohibited terms to make your arguments, but the FBA dummies don't know this. So, yes,
Brother Reggie, one thing I think that the reason why reparations is not as quickly addressed as some of those other reparations situations, whether it be the Japanese internment camps and things like that or whatever that they had, is because of the population of those people were so small, and then the situation that they actually had to prove was such a small situation as far as, I mean, in comparison to what Black Americans have gone through in this country, because reparations was not just about slavery. We had Reconstruction that addressed slavery directly, but even in Reconstruction, it was a whole lot of, scamming as far as Black people got the ass end of the stick. So I think that reparations more so that we talk about now should also incorporate even more recent events, sharecropping, redlining, the way
Exactly.
we were treated after the military, the health
That's harm
things,
based. So what you
all of
just
those things
said,
are should be
so,
incorporated in our
okay.
reparations conversation. Go ahead.
So
I'm sorry.
what you just said was the things that that I agree with you and that I said. Our movement for reparations has to be particularly harm-based reparations, not conclusionary labels such as ancestry. Just because you have ancestry doesn't mean that you were harmed. Some of your ancestors could have been the Black Christians that enslaved Africans for their farms, right? It has to be harm-based. Then you have to know the statutes of limitations. There are statutes of limitations that are not told: continuing violation doctrine, equitable tolling, and fraudulent concealment, right? Those murder, those type of things. How can I say, they don't meet the guidelines of being told, so that they can always still be on the table. But it has to be harm based. So it can't be, oh, my family or I came from Africa on the slave ship. Those can't be that directly, because then some of those things are told because of time. But based on population and class, you can make similar arguments based on harm, right? So in any time that you wanna, if you let me know, first of all, if you let me know, I would love for I don't know how you got the FBA guy on a channel in the earlier, but I would like to talk to I would like to talk to someone like that, right? Uh, and I'll show them how that they are just naive and ignorant on the law. Any FBA person, right? I'll ask them to draft out a lawsuit, right? There's nothing that we have done on ancestry base that has won in courts. Nothing. And I could tell you the cases. I've been involved in this since 2001, right? I could tell you all of the cases, and I've written to the New York State Commission on reparations. I wrote a 25-page paper on legal reparation arguments for New York State. So when I get these little K through 12 people, or if you're talking about my ancestor, well, the Negroes can't even tell you. You got 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, 16 great grand. Which of them were harmed, and how were they harmed? They don't know, so they don't have a cause of action, right?
Well,
That's what
and
happened with Pelman Farmer. Pelman Farmer, she argued that banks were received ill-gotten gains from her ancestors, our ancestors, but she couldn't even tie herself to any person that was harmed by the banks. So she was not the plaintiff for the case, and it was a setup case. So to look at silly arguments, to put them into encode them in law. I'll stop.
I agree with you, bro. I mean, even with in the words of Ta-Nehisi Coates, 250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of separate but equal, 35 years of racist housing policies, and so on and so on. And until we reckon with our compounding moral debts, America will never be whole. So the reparations argument is one thing that we always that I don't mind having at all, because we have plenty of arguments for reparations. It's just the fact that, like I said, white supremacy won't allow that to happen. It's too much. They owe too much. You know what I mean? And that's the way they're gonna continue to view it. They're gonna always view it as something that will bankrupt the economy of the American government in order to pay us back for all the wrongs done to black people.
Well, if you want a cash payment, yes. If you want a cash payment, but there are other prayers for relief, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree, but they don't want that program. You can even see in social programming now that they don't want for even some of their own people. So they definitely not gonna want social programming for us. You know what I
I
mean? They already
understand.
trying to cut everything.
They didn't want us to be free. So, like
Right.
Dr. Tyreen Wright says, we fought for our freedom. We were the population that the Confederate did not see and understand that allowed the Union to win, right? But then later, our we're not watching so it's our own disunity, which the FBA's, this is a stupid argument. Oh, the Africans or in the Caribbeans, they want our reparations. How many Africans and Caribbean immigrants are there in the United States? Families. How many?
Yeah, a
What's that?
lot, a lot.
No.
I mean,
Well,
we got. I mean, just to make the reason I say
no.
that we
Tell
shouldn't
me,
have
tell
the
me, you said a
attitude.
lot. Tell me how much.
w- How many black people have a connection to Caribbeans and the islands and things of that nature?
Yeah, tell me how much.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I give you some factual information. But
Okay.
yeah, just because
Well,
the reason I use it is because I think people like Marcus Garvey's family, you know what I mean, is old reparations from the country. You know what I'm saying? Like I think a lot of different people that came from separate places or whatever other places are old reparations from this country. So I don't like to just take people out that might have a connection to other places outside of the United States of America, because a lot of them came here. When they came here, they had issues also, or some of the same issues that
right.
black people was
Let's
already
get
dealing
back to the points that I think that you are making that are strong. Okay, so then we have a mixed population. So those populations become Black Americans. For example, Malcolm X's family, right? Malcolm X
with.
family is one father from the South, mother from Grenada, right? So we have
Mm-hmm.
mixed populations. So those are now Black American populations, right? So we have a lot of mixing of groups of people, but they are also harmed in the United States. So we all become a population that is harmed, has nothing to do with ancestry. So we could talk about the harm of the populations rather than trying to do an ancestry only argument. But so the fact of the matter is today, how many African immigrants and Caribbean immigrants do they count in the census records? How many?
Well, like according to World Population Review, the Jamaican population in the United States is around 2%. That's just the Jamaican population. So I
And
will
that's
have to
nothing.
go
And that's
throughout.
nothing. Right. So if you
It's,
what you
it's
find
about it's
out.
around a million. It's a little over a million people.
Right. Okay. If you look at that, so the more important thing is to add them all up, and what you find out is that it's a nothing burger, right? That out of a dollar, what you giving up 20%, 30% of what you think you want, and then, but then how many white
It's
people
not. I
watch
mean,
this?
it's more like 8 or 10% or something like that. But go
No,
ahead.
be quiet. How many white people have black? Be quiet, Corey.
I was
How
agreeing
many
with you though,
white
Reggie.
people? How many white people have black blood that can apply that can get reparations? How many white people goes both ways? There are more
Honestly,
white people.
I would say that a lot of white people, because there's a lot of white people that were actually
Exactly,
done
so they can
dirty in
get
the civil
reparations.
rights movement.
So right, so if it's ancestry based, these stupid FBAs and some of our own who are stupid, do you understand that white people like the $5 Indians can apply for reparations? See, people, so
Mm.
you can't use the
So
ancestry.
who's going Reggie? Who's going about it the right way? I think you're clear on who's doing it wrong. Is anybody out there that you can point to
Well,
who's going about it the right way?
yeah. So, Attorney Ogletree, uh, he gave us. If you looked at his work that he wrote on reparations, is probably the best piece that was not followed for reasons, right? It was not because they saw what Ogletree was saying, Attorney Ogletree was saying, and then they went another course, and then they failed. So then until of course it became federal reparations, right? And then in the courts, and then we found out strict scrutiny and problems with that. Then now they have moved, and that was they have moved, and that was what I had found out in 2001, the correct way was to move to particular states. And so if you want to see good reparations arguments, I certainly can provide my arguments and some of the arguments in Institute of the Black World 21st Century and NORC, but they have moved to local reparations because they have said that okay, in government, in the states, in certain states, you have a majority population of Black people that was able to get elected officials. So legislatively, in majority Black cities and states, we could get better results than we could get with congressional and Senate on the federal level. So then once we get that, then what we have to do is we have to write it correctly. So Asheville, North Carolina, out of all of them, they survived, and they were able to give some reparations. Los Angeles or California failed, and that's where you saw Tariq Nasheed testify on ancestry base. Well, the reason why it failed because as soon as you are able to successfully have a study and then put out a program, if you use any of these trigger words, the conservative groups will come in and swoop in, and they will steal reparations money in litigation, right? Which they have been successful in doing. So the issue is, one is let us understand that read the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, and you find that in the Constitution, you can't argue ancestry and race. So if you can't argue it in the Constitution, right, then you can't argue it anywhere. So that's why they scam it. Number two is there's a Supreme Court case that actually followed that and then showed that ancestry and race that you can't give to minority groups, right? If you're a minority group, you can't give money to, right? Every time you set aside for a minority group, if it's a large amount of money, it will be stolen from you by conservative groups. So then if we can't use ancestry, then what do we use? We use particular harm-based arguments and disparate impact arguments. So I'll stop, but my whole thing is call out the best. I mean, you have more numbers than me. You call out the best lineage-based sucker. Come on your show and talk to me. Because I'm not going to hide my ammunition. I'm going to say in the Constitution, the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause specifically talks about ancestry being prohibited. So who are you going to fight? The Constitution? There's no fight. You can't fight the Constitution. You're going to fight Congress and the Senate that follows the Constitution, right? Like you it's a dead end. It's a dead end fight. But what you can argue is ill-gotten gains and harm, specific harm. Any plaintiff knows that. If you're a plaintiff, you've been harmed, you come into court and you specify how you have been harmed, right? And then how we specify that is what my good brother said: redlining, right? Health disparities, job disparities, right? We argue a slew of harms that are specific to us and not to the other populations. And those
and do us a favor and drop that information in the chat. You said from a lawyer, who has some I guess legal work. You say you had some work. Definitely drop that in the chat for us. Gotcha.
I think like I said initially, I think the sister that I rocked with a lot was Yvette Cornell initially. She was one of the people who helped Arthur HR 40, and also was trying to help get it pushed through the Senate and Congress. So I think that those efforts between her, even the brother Tone, who was also a lawyer, were valiant efforts. I think the ADOS movement initially was a pretty valiant effort. I think now they've kind of transitioned into a more also, anti-African stance or anti-immigrant stance, which, like I said, as a Pan-African, I can't really get with. So, but I think initially what they were bringing to the table was a very good angle to come at, especially by getting
Absolutely,
people to study.
absolutely not. Because if you don't know, Yvette and Tone are plaintiffs in a suit against Harvard, Kennedy Center,
Mhm.
and Harvard. And in
Mhm.
September, they have till September 15th of this upcoming month to dismiss their own claims. So
Right, right. I'm not glorifying them. I'm not glorifying
no, I'm
anything
not
they've
saying
done
that. I
currently.
said
What
it's
I'm
a
saying
valiant
is,
effort. I'm saying it's a valiant effort, but they
yeah.
use ancestry. And because they use ancestry in the federal courts, they are going to have to dismiss their own case on
Well, no, no,
September.
no, no. The HR 40 didn't have anything to do with using ancestry. HR 40 was a study of it in general to even get to the point to where we will be able to determine whether we're going by ancestry, where we're going by historical events, and where we're going by
I know HR 40.
picking certain people.
She did not author it. She did not
I didn't say
author
she
it.
authored. I didn't
Huh?
say she authored it. I didn't say she authored it, brother.
What
What
did
I
you say?
said was she was helping with the movement when it first got started. When HR 40 got started, she was a part of it. She was a part of that entire thing. She's even on the board. I mean, on the scheduling for the HR 40 when that was a movement. So she was a part of that. Like I said, I'm not talking about the ADOS movement. Beyond that, as far as the political side of it, she was enhanced in that situation when it came to HR 40 and studying the effects of reparation. So that was the first step. That was supposed to be the first step to the introduction to studying reparations for Black Americans. That got shot down. And then after that point, they started doing their own little separate thing or whatever. Yvette Cornett, like I said, I respected her at one point. Right now, I
Yeah.
don't have a whole lot of respect for the way that she's moving and the fact that she's making everything. She has adopted this anti-African stance. So that's just a personal effect for me that I can't get with because I don't necessarily agree with it.
Okay, so you just to I understand that HR 40 was created roughly in about 1989 by Conyers. In the later kind of reinsertion of HR 40, Yvette Cornell and them probably got involved in it. But the problem is that the American descendants of slavery is an ancestral argument, and so so that just makes my point. What they did was they made it even harder to study would not go through because it's not harm based, it's ancestral. And I tried to make that point. What she did was she muddied the waters. People like her because and so now they put in their own suit, right? And that's scheduled to be dismissed in September this year. So her legal thought thinking failed. Her legal thinking simply failed. That's that's my major point of it. So she tested it. Her and Tone tested it in law, right? And well, they didn't test all of it, but they tested the fact of the matter is that American descendants of African descendants of American descendants of slavery is something they're asking Congress, they're asking the government to do something that they can't do with an argument that has already failed. So so listen, I come on this board because I think some of you are smart and some of you are not so smart. But the smart people, at least you have arguments that people are really interested in, and the not so ones just keep it talking points. It's usually very easily dismantled if people like myself is able to talk. So what we do have as a legacy of slavery, we do have ongoing effects of systemic discrimination against the population. Those are the things that we should argue, and its ways in which it's particular words that we can use for those arguments. So I'll stop and I'll listen. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate you, bro, Reggie. Corey, you want to add anything to that?
I think Chef is our resident FBA. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to engage with Brother Reggie, put out an open
Yeah, Chef,
challenge.
get in there, man. You fighting for FBA?
FBA?
Get in there.
Oh, where's Chef
Yeah,
at?
Chef
Oh, Chef
FBA.
probably
Get your
busy.
ass in there, Chef, or drop your damn flag, my nigga.
Right. That American flag. Drop your American flag.
Yeah, I don't. I
Yeah,
think
drop your goddamn American flag, Chef. Get your ass in there. Yeah, he ran his ass up out.
Yeah, man. I don't have nothing good to say about FBA right now, man. I'm sorry. Like I love the concept when it was first created and everything. I hate the way that it's been bastardized by Tariq Nasheed and like abos and everybody else who trying to take it in order to try to run with this whole Americanism thing. Like we need to adopt loving America and everything about America is black and we was here first and all this. It's like, come on, bro. Like why y'all trying so hard to push away Africa and our African ancestry in order to try to adopt American ancestry? It just doesn't
even if
matter.
they
I mean, it doesn't
did,
make sense to me.
even if they did continue to attack Africans and Caribbeans, which is only a population of 6 million or 6.5 million at best, 7 million, right? That's still a nothing burger when they don't attack the Latino population, which is 65 million, right? And there's good reason for that because keep attacking the 65 million Latino populations who have a very, very, very violent group with them, they would disappear. So it's easy to attack Haitians and African immigrants, particularly African immigrants who pretty much are docile. They don't do anything. They're docile, right? For the most part. But start talking about Big Hefe. Start
Well,
talking about
I don't even think that's the right move, bro, Reggie. Honestly and truthfully, because politically it doesn't help us in this
no,
country
it
to attack
doesn't. But I'm just
the
saying this.
Hefe.
Their
You know what I mean?
strategy is to attack black people. Their strategy is not to attack. When they say, "Oh, the immigrants," they tread lightly on the Latino immigrants
I
because
don't know, man. That whole mic drop thing was about Latinos and hip hop.
Well,
I
I don't
think they
think that it
attacked
should
the
be.
Latinos
That's
too.
what I'm saying. I don't think it should be a fight between blacks and Latinos right now. I think blacks and Latinos need to be getting together and understanding that the white supremacists are the ones who are turning our people into zombies. This ain't a black and Latino thing. Like we should be against each other or butting heads.
I
Actually,
agree.
we kind of in similar because we kind of in similar situations when it comes to the white supremacist agenda. Like, so it don't make sense for us to start fighting against each other when when the majority is the one fighting against both of us.
Well,
You know what I
I
mean? Like,
but what I'm saying is that when they deal with the Latino populations, they deal softly with them. They deal softly with
There
them.
was a
They
whole
really
documentary done to go against what they were saying, their claims.
say that again.
I don't know. Now as a Black American, I'm not denying my African ancestry. I have no issues with any African people personally, but I do think as Americans, we do have a right to hold our ground. Like I dated this Caribbean woman who was living with me and had the nerve to tell me that I have no culture.
Okay.
So these are texts that Black Americans receive. And are we not supposed to say anything? Are we supposed to say, no, the white man is filling your head with that?
no,
No,
but it's
you're
our
right.
culture.
But
I mean,
that's a non-issue. That's the woman that you dated. So I got that. That doesn't move the needle. What I'm trying to say is that, and when you dated her, you probably expected that, right? But you
No, I
dated her
didn't.
for different reasons.
But,
You did.
but also think about our culture here. Is our culture not directly connected to white American culture? Like
Yeah.
when we talk about the things that we consider our culture, okay? Because like I hear people even the negative parts when they talk about gangs. Like that's not Black culture. We didn't create that. We
So
adopted
what are
that.
tribes?
from
What
White
are
Americans.
tribes?
Well, I mean, I
What are
think
tribes? Tribes are
What are
not
tribes?
gangs.
So how tribes are not
Tribes are
gangs?
not gangs. No, they're tribes. They're actually people made of cultures. We did not start like our tribes were not out to just bang against other tribes. Like that was not their purpose. Like that happened based on
Literally what we do.
circumstance. When we talk about gangs in America started with European whites. The first gangs were European white gangs. The gangs, even the things that we like to adopt when it comes to gangsterism, we look at ourselves as Capones and Lucianos and all of this. All of that is European culture that we adopted and took in and decided,
No,
oh, we can
man.
make this flyer. That is a part of it.
That's a part of it, but that's not it. Like we're not gonna have like tribes
That's a
and sell
vast
other
part of it.
tribes.
The gangs in
We're not gonna
LA
have like
were
tribes and
created.
sell other tribes.
Yo,
The
we don't,
gangs
yo,
in
we
LA
don't,
were created in
Hey,
order to
we don't
defend
know
against the
the
white
English
gangs in LA.
language. We misuse the
C-Dot spitting
English
real
language.
true.
Gangs have something to do largely, gangs in one sense could be just groups of people in things like labor, right? Organized for labor. But the more popular idea of gangs has to do with people acting illegally, right? Organized illegal structures. Those become gangs. Tribes have a whole nother different definition. We don't know the English language. If we don't know the English language, so you said what? Am I
Right. I
wrong?
mean,
You just
Am I
no,
wrong?
you're right. You're
that's
exactly right.
what
And that's why I don't understand trying to act like those things are like they're not intermingled with each other. Like
No.
we learned a lot of the bad parts of our culture. We learned from European culture, and we adopted. We didn't have a choice. We living on their land. We do as they do. That's been our
Well,
thing for God knows how long. Is we've been on their land. We do what they do, and we also made best out of the scraps that we were given from them. So we were able to
well,
make these certain styles fly
Yeah,
and all
you
this, that,
talk
and the
about
third. But
banditry.
wearing a
You talk
suit
about
is
banditry.
a European cultural thing. You know what I'm saying? Wearing a three-piece suit is European culture. That is not our culture. We just gravitated to it and made it fly.
well,
Certain things
well,
belong to the
in
culture that
some
we live in.
regard,
Hey, brother,
we're
you're
kind of
not
having
wrong though. You're talking about banditry, and you right about that. It's on Wiki. I'm reading it. It says banditry. Hold on. It says in discussing the banditry in American history, Barrington Moore Jr. suggests that gangsterism is a form of self-help which victimizes others. May appear in societies which lacks strong forces of law and order. Hold on. He characterizes European feudalism. Yeah, it's people who
Right.
connected to. I see what he's saying, but you gotta add more context.
Yeah,
We need to
especially
deal
when
with
you look at the gangs of New York. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, which is loosely based on historical events. Not saying that
Absolutely.
everything in there was perfectly on point, but it was loosely based on historical events. That's
Yeah.
what Europeans do. They gang banged versus each other, and we
Yeah.
saw it and was like, oh, okay, well, that's how they defend themselves. We're gonna do the same thing too in order to defend ourselves. We've always been reactionary in this country. I mean, in most cases, we've been reactionary. Even when it comes to our inventions and things of that nature, was always reactionary to our circumstances that we were being placed in by our oppressors. So we adopted a lot of the things. The way that we think right now is an adoption of the way that they think. Even though we got our own little nuances to it, ways that we tweaked it in order to make it ours or feel like it's ours, it came from them
so.
in a lot of
I
different ways. Not
mean,
all of it.
is
Not
some of
saying that
what you're
all of
saying
our
that we
culture,
should
but a lot of it came from them.
wean more of that out of our regular way of
no,
interacting with each other?
no. That it's a when it comes to you, we lost our point, right? There's a lot of things that we should do as a people, as a population in the United States, that's positive for ourselves. And there's a lot of things that we don't do. We need to focus on, right, rebuilding up the positive parts of our population. That's what we need to focus on. Everything else is a real distraction, right? than to what we need. What we want to do is we want to throw rocks at everybody else, but we are empowered to fix our own problems, right? And identify. We have choices. We have choices to use drugs and not use drugs, right? To party away our money or not party away our money. To put money into our children's education or not, right?
Almost.
We have choices. The question is it's always to throw rocks at someone else as if they're taking something from us. But what are they taking from us? They're saying that they're going to take reparations from us. So reparations is not a handout. It is a direct payment or some type of other remedy for things that were taken from us. That's a whole nother story. But what these people are talking about is simply a check to continue to do the bad things that we do, right? The lobster, oh man, get my reparations, gonna get caught, man. Sit down and Red Lobster or something, eat some lobster legs and crab
I
legs.
don't really agree with that though, because
Yeah, me, I don't.
you can even see a microcosm of like a certain similar scenarios, right? Like when you give poorer and disserviced communities money like cash, like motherfuckers always say that they gonna run off and go start making bad choices with it, right? But they did a study during the pandemic, and when they got them checks, right? When folks got them checks,
They
50%
spend it.
of the 50% of the kids that was in malnourished and in poverty came out of that. So when you give folks they money, that paper, you see what I'm saying?
All right,
They
so
know
let
what to
me
do
just
with that. They gonna make good choices because the overwhelming majority of black folks got sent.
okay, so
We
let me
just
get
was dealt with a,
Yes,
a
yes, be
bad
under the
shit.
realm of food,
let
clothing,
me
and
just
shelter.
match to that BS.
I hate when people say a
Okay,
check,
let me
we
just
gonna go
match
run
that.
off and buy a
I know,
Cadillac. That
but
shit's
let me
wild.
just match to you.
It's both
We don't
sides,
have
though,
a
Corey. It's two
plan.
sides.
That shit
We
kind of
don't have
wild
a
to me.
plan. We don't have a plan for our money. Do you understand that the monies that we receive then or tax, ultimately all the money that we get go right back to white people.
You give black folks some money, they gonna have a plan.
It goes right back to it goes right
Ain't
back
nobody
to
trying to
black
make no
I think that's
plans and
what
they ain't got no money.
Booker T. Washington was alluding to, that you ultimately do have to have a plan in regard. I see what
Exactly.
you're saying, though, Corey. But Corey, that's where your perspective on blue collar.
Ain't nobody trying to. Ain't
Hold on, look,
nobody dreaming.
no.
Nobody want
I'm
to be
saying,
dreaming.
I got you. But
fuck
Corey,
a
your
plan,
perspective
right?
on the
Fuck a
blue
plan
collar
if
work.
we ain't got the paper.
Hey, Corey,
I
you're not on
you
the
still need
wrong
a
show
plan,
with
though.
me. If we don't have a plan for our money,
Please.
Longevity wise, you need a plan. Longevity wise.
Get the
Especially
paper first. Get the paper first, and then start making plans.
Oh, the
Could
paper
y'all
gonna
explain who the
gonna
we
do it,
is?
You're right, though, Corey.
and
The
then they're gonna raise
temporary
the price.
and address food, clothing, and shelter. I agree with that. But when you talk about, like, again, longevity and progression as far as like industry or whatever, you gotta have a plan. That's why I be reading a lot of Booker T, because he understood that way back when. Like,
Absolutely. He was quiet about all this
Man, black
reparations.
people ain't a monolith, so how you gonna make a plan? Everybody
Yeah,
ain't
I
on
agree
the
with
same
that. Look, I
page.
agree with that too.
well,
I agree
that's
with
the
who
that.
is the
problem.
we? I don't
There's
understand
the
this we.
problem right there, that black people are not a monolith. Black people don't know how to work together. Yet all of these white folks, these Europeans, have a union. When it comes to black people, even in this country, we need to find our way to have a union instead of always wanting to separate and be, oh no, I want to be independent thinkers and all this other goofy shit. No, we need to actually have some type of way that we unify and learn how to work together in order to move or progress ourselves forward if we're going to stay in this country. Like I said, I'm a Pan-African. I don't necessarily fully agree with repatriation, but I am a person, I am a African American who is working on having the ability to repatriate my entire family. So and the reason I want to do that is because I want to be able to inspire and build and motivate other black people who look like me in order to create
Okay.
societies for people who look like me, that's ran by people who look like me, so I can hold people who look like me more accountable instead of having to turn to what we're dealing with here, being a minority in this country, it being ran by Europeans. Everything about it, even the law says that you have to include the Europeans. So therefore, we don't really have anything to stand on as far as separating ourselves from the same oppressors that kept us in a position for all this time.
I'm a
Instead,
little older. So let me
I got you, bro, Reggie. I
No,
mean,
so in
you are, and
1986,
ahead.
I went to Africa with Dr. John Henry Clark. 1986, I went to Africa with Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Dr. John Henry Clark on a study tour, right? That was 1986. This is 2025. So this is damn near 35, 37 years later, right? Let me tell you something. The problem is, even if we go to Africa without a plan, right, we're going to fail. We failed in Liberia, right? And that was a better plan in Liberia. But locally, what it is that we become just tourists. And then we don't have any representation in any of those governments. Not Ghana, not Senegal, not Gambia, right? Not Mali, not Cote d'Ivoire, none of those West African states. And what happens is they prey on us individually. They prey on us individually until our money run out. Right? I could think of only few successful endeavors with them, right? But then we are integrating in them with no rights whatsoever. So we're starting all over again. And the colonized African mind is similar to the Black American mind, right? So they have xenophobia. It's always language based, culture based, and they have problems within themselves based on cultural differences. The Ashanti, the Fante, the Ewe, the Ga, right? All of those groups of people, they can't get along. They can't get along, right? And so we need a plan.
Yeah, diversity is like a double-edged sword. It's crazy.
But that's my point, though. Even with those people that can't get along, I would rather be in the fight of getting all those people to get along, or at least to get the majority of those people to get along, than I would be in the trying to get these white folks to align with us or to side with us on most political situations here, which is what we have to galvanize in order to push anything political forward. We have to galvanize support from outside parties, from either the Asian community, the Mexican or brown community, the LGBT community, the white community. There's always some type of galvanization we have to incorporate into any type of political progression in this country. We've always had to do that because we are a minority, and they were able to position themselves with mass immigration into this country in order to make this a European-led country and a European majority country.
I think that you have some points. I think on another show we should talk about it. But I did say I went with some of the best scholars, right?
Right.
At that time, we opened up Ghana. I was a CEO of a travel agent group for 5 years. So
Right.
I know they raised the prices on us. They did all the things that white folks did, right? They raised the prices on us.
Right.
They favored their own people over us. Right?
Because they are a colonialized, they still have a colonialized mindset. And that's the whole point that I'm making, is that I think it will be better for us to try to relieve those people of that mindset and thinking that these colonizers that came over here and drew these lines and everything else still need to be able to control how we move.
Yeah,
I think a lot of those people in Africa,
Are you some way getting at like
mountain
preparing for conflict? Is that why you feel like these African nations need to be unified to benefit us?
No, it's not. I don't think it's preparing for conflict. What I'm saying is, I think it's actually preparing us for progression. It's preparing us for how we could actually utilize the over 1.2 billion Black Africans that are in Africa compared to the 40 million here in America. We should be unifying with diasporan goals and aspirations in order to increase our leverage on power around the world. If we're not doing that, then we kind of
even if it slows our progress down here in America, we should do that.
Yeah, well,
No,
see, this
no, I'm saying we should use this. We should use this just like our diasporan Africans across the world should be using their influence and whatever power that they have created inside of their own particular countries in order to boost the
okay. So C
unification of the
dot,
continent.
I can help you, right? I can help
Mhm.
you, and I can help everyone, right? Okay. So the best thing that we can do is organize our own city states that we have majority Black populations, then to do business with Africa, particular African states. So that way, cities can exchange. Well, up until Trump, we could exchange people, but we can
I agree.
certainly exchange goods by a city plan. So
I
that
agree.
way, there's contracts, right? And if they fail on their contracts, then we end the contracts, and then we look for another place for raw goods or resources that we need here, right? At
Fact.
But we need to do it based on our using our strengthening our own city and state governments to do business with particular places in Africa, not the whole continent, and that will create competition in Africa for them to want to deal with us, right? Because
Right.
it'll be American dollars, right, for exchange
Directly.
raw material and goods,
Right.
right?
And it's going
Buy
directly
diamonds.
to African countries, and it's coming that return is coming directly to other diasporan
That's
African
correct.
countries.
But
So
not
I
as
agree.
individuals, not as individual entrepreneurs, right? Don't do
Mhm.
that. So when our cities and states can draw up contracts for the return of raw materials, right, from them that go to our ports, like for example, Detroit, like for example, majority Black population, Newark, majority Black that have deep ports that can receive ships, right? We can do all type of exchanges, and it's based on a city and the state can't. The federal government can't say to a city and state, because this is the United States. Remember, it can't say that a particular state can't benefit from resources because they made the deal, right? The federal government can maybe put some latches on it, but the fact of the matter is, states can in fact uh, deal directly with foreign states. For a while, for example, Detroit in Canada was really doing good business. Yes, the federal government stepped in and then but the other cities and states, they didn't help Detroit, right? Because they could have partnered with Detroit for goods and services from Canada, right? And other
Right.
places but what we didn't do, we did not, other states did not help them, right? So we need a consolidation of, I'll stop for now. I think that you understand what I'm
No,
saying.
I get exactly what you're saying, because I think that we need to formulate ways to work with places like Ghana, who can give us, we can get corn and plantain. I mean, I'm just speaking on foods, but yams, plantains, all of these type of different things that we could be, cocoa, it's another huge thing that we could be, rocking with as far as that goes. Burkina Faso has tomatoes. They grow their own tomatoes. They got this big tomato production thing. You could be setting up deals with not only setting up deals where the farmers could be trading back and forth in order to, in order to open up their types of foods that they can offer, but it also could be a direct connection to grocery stores, Black-owned grocery stores, which people are trying to create and make more of a cross country thing. You're starting to see different Black grocery stores popping up here and there, and I think these people should have not only a direct line with Black farmers, which is something that's dwindling in America, but we should also have a connection with Black farmers or African farmers on the continent, and not only on the continent, but also in South America. South America, Mexico, um, um, uh, um, uh, China, wherever we can formulate different things that we need to take advantage of it. Right now, they got Japan asking for Black people to come over there just to have sex with their women so they can impregnate them.
Is this a little bit about
This should be-
attempting to build up their economy?
No,
Is that a little
absolutely
bit
well,
not. It's about us getting
from
us.
CDOT?
With
Because I'm
resources.
hearing CDOT saying it more than you, Brother Reggie. So CDOT, are you kind of leaning towards that?
I'm talking about us. I'm talking about us in general. I'm talking about benefiting how we could benefit Black people, and Black people could also benefit us in the same sense all around the world. Like
Right.
creating ideas to where we can work together in order to formulate business structures that also work in other places. Because, like I said, I don't necessarily. I'm under the Pan African ideology, which is a lot of it. A lot of the ideology, or a lot of the people who push the ideology, have a strong belief in socialist programs or socialist ideas, or socialistic ideas, I should say. So I understand that the majority of the world is not a socialistic idea. Majority of the world don't want to work like that. There's capitalism all over, and people want to stick to capitalism. So we have to learn how to incorporate both. We have to learn how to live as socialists amongst each other, but we also have to take advantage of the capitalist situation in order to, like taking advantage of other people. You know what I'm saying? Like they're taking advantage of us and our hard work. We need to be the ones that learn how to take advantage of them and their hard work and make that benefit us. So like that, I'm using the ideas that they use in order to control the world back on them, in a sense.
And we could do it by organization, which is our city and county, city, and state governments. They can do business with foreign country for the benefit of their populations. That's the American dream. You can go places where the European cannot go, right? And make deals that the Europeans can't do for legitimate reasons, but we have to do it through our government structure with contracts. We can't do it as individuals. I have Pan-Africanist ideas, right? I went to school, that's what I learned. But I was a Black nationalist, right? But now I'm moving more to being Pan-Black America, right?
Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that, Reggie. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Do
Why
not do
not?
that.
If it's practical,
Don't do that.
why
No,
not
no,
even?
no.
Why be against it before you even heard what he means by
No,
it?
because I've been hearing that terminology being used by some of the most ignorant people that
I'm
I've
not.
ever talked to in my life about Black people.
Yeah,
I know. That's why
let's
I'm saying
be
I would
real. A
hope that
lot of
you
these
would.
ideas are struggling with practicality. Let's
No,
just be completely honest with it.
Let me explain the origin let me explain the origin of Pan-Black American. The origin of it was Dr. John Henry Clark and El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, the man you know as Malcolm X, with the Organization of Afro-American Unity.
right.
Right? That was the beginning of Pan-Black ideology, right? Not saying that we are a nation among each other. They kind of looked at that and they crafted this thing called the Organization of Afro-American Unity. And this was before it was one Black mayor of a city, right? Malcolm X died before there was one Black mayor of it. So Pan-Black America means organizing our counties, cities, and states for the benefit of our people. So it's
Right,
a
but
different.
brother Reggie, the only thing, like one of the main things I have an issue with that is because
How
although
don't you
I
like that,
love,
Brother
as
Reggie?
much as I love Dr. Claude Anderson, and I really admire his opinion on many
I said Dr.
situations.
Clark. I didn't say no Claude
Oh, Dr.
Anderson.
Clark. Okay,
I
okay.
have
Oh,
nothing to
I'm
do
sorry.
with
I'm sorry.
with Claude with Dr. Claude Anderson. All right, he's a
Oh,
Christian.
okay. My bad.
His paranomics, it failed in the. He thought that all Black people like fish. So
Okay. My bad. I misheard you then. My bad as far as that goes. But I do feel like that. The terminology does a lot in order to cause confusion. So I would rather, even as a younger brother, you know what I'm saying? I'm only 40, 42, 43, somewhere around there. But I'm a younger generation, but at the same time, I would rather carry on that ideology of Pan-Africanism because I think it stretches more so than trying to reduce it to America. And I think too many people are gravitating to adopting
Why
this
is what
Americanism.
you're saying more like? Why is what you're saying a better route than what Reggie is saying? Reggie's saying
I'm not.
domestic politics, and you're saying global politics. Like I'm
No,
I'm
no, no, no,
trying
no,
to.
no,
I don't
no, no, no,
understand
no,
that.
no, no. We're talking about ideology. I'm not talking about politics right now because I understand the difference between the global politics and the local politics. What I'm talking about is the terminology that gets swayed and confused. The reason I thought he was talking about Claude Anderson is because Claude Anderson brought up the whole FBA terminology first off. It was, foundational Black Americans, and it leaves out the connection of Africa. And I think that if we call this Pan American or Pan American ideology or Pan Black American ideology, I think that also leaves out that Pan Africanism that doesn't need to be.
I just think that you have to have strategies. You have strategies within strategies, but you have to start strategizing or organizing your base. So our base is not Africa. Our base is Black America, right? Or African or African American base, right? Either or. So I use Black because Black unifies all Black people.
There we go.
I don't.
My bad. My bad. I ain't hear
So
nothing that just was said. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut nobody off, but I ain't hear nothing because I know I was talking and it probably just cut off because my phone went to sleep.
no,
But
it's
Nah,
fine.
you good, bro.
No, but
okay.
I was talking after you was talking, and so the reason why I use Black American, right?
Mhm.
A Pan Black American is because we have to deal with our own problems, and our own problems have to do with housing and economic disparities and Black on Black crime and all those things that are happening, poor education, misallocation of resources, right? We have to deal with that to be strong to deal with anybody, right? And so we have to have strategies within strategies, but we have to focus on our strongest base, which is our own people. I don't disagree with you. Maybe that's a longer term strategy, but we are confusing ourselves if we take a long-term strategy and then we don't fix the problems within our own unity within Black America. So the Organization of African American Unity that Malcolm X and Dr. John Henry Clark wrote, right, was basis of my thinking, right? And then of course it broadens out to teaching Africa how they should deal with us, right? Like
Right.
we're gonna dictate to them, we're dictating to them how they're going to deal with us. How you're going to govern yourselves when it comes to us. How you're going to cut down the xenophobia, right? How you're going to honor the contracts, right?
Mhm.
You know, and
But don't you
how
think?
professional.
Don't you one thing? Don't you think that being like because I think that the thing the cutoff between immigrants and coming here and us is I think the fact that we're not as inviting to immigrants once they get in here, so they automatically get that European thought process that's pumped into them. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Don't
they
let them
got it
Black
already in
Americans.
Africa. That's why I
But
went
that's
to Africa.
right.
Most of the people who come here or the merchant groups, they look poor, but they're the ones who can actually get money to travel. The base population of these places in Africa, they don't have money. So the people who come here are already the people who have traded with the Europeans. They might have went to Germany, they might have went to England, they might have went to Arab countries, right? And then they come over here with a merchant agenda, right, to send money back home. They're not innocents when they come here. These are the elite of Africa. Elite of
Right.
Africa, we call immigrants, but
So
they're
wouldn't it?
actually the elite of Africa.
So that's my point. So wouldn't it make more sense for us to be more invitive to those people
They
because of
got
the fact
something to
that could be
offer.
our connections?
If they
What they
got
do, you
something to
said that.
offer,
Well, that's what I'm saying. You saying that they're the elitist part. So we should maybe try to get our elitist part, our parts that have the money and all of that other stuff in order to link up with those guys so that way they can start this
we can
business
hire them.
relationship.
We can hire them. We can
But that's
hire them. If they
but
want to work
what
for
I'm
us,
saying.
that's
They
fine.
can hire we
Our
can
main
hire them
agenda,
here. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
is for our cities and our states to have viable contracts with Africa. Now, if they want to work for us, fine. But as
With us.
individuals,
Why are we saying for us though? That's what I'm saying, bro. Like we got to get.
It is about building their economy. See.
Well, it's about building all of our economies. It's not just
No,
about
we gotta
building one
build
side.
ours first.
Nah,
You
it's
gotta
not.
build ours first, bro.
It's not how it
That's
works.
what I was
Bro.
trying to.
Listen what
That's
I'm
what
saying.
I was trying to hash out earlier. Honestly.
Okay, got you. Let me get this idea out right quick, okay? Because I'm looking at how power was formulated here. Like I said, at one point in time in this country, we outnumbered the slaves, outnumbered the white folks, the Europeans. They got strategic, and they also, I mean, they also had. That's where part of the 3/5 compromise and all of that craziness comes from. You know what I mean? So at one point in time, these folks knew they were outnumbered. So therefore, a strategic plan for them was to immigrate more people here. And then also they got those people that immigrated here to join in with them, because a lot of those people weren't like that first. A lot of them people weren't even considered Americans and all of that, just like the Irish and the Italians and all of that. But if you ask them people today who they are, they're gonna tell you they white people. So what they did was they were able to become the majority in order to control the politics of how things work. What we need, so one thing that we always need is support. In every single situation that's dealing with politics, we have to look for and garner support for the things that we want to move forward. Why? Because we are a minority politically.
I gotta say, I like Reggie's argument a lot. I like Reggie's argument.
Reggie's
actually killing it this time. I ain't gonna lie.
I make sure I give you your props when I can, Reggie. Yeah. Right now, you killing it.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I just came into this conversation, so I haven't heard all of it. But what Reggie said is making a whole lot of goddamn sense to me right now. I just want to say that.
Hold up a second, right? So the part that you haven't been clear on, C-Dot, right? Is I asked you what's the benefit to us to building their economy, right? And you said it wasn't about conflict, and so I'm gonna leave that part alone. So because it sounds like you know what, like for their economy to be a part of your plan, it sounds like you're building a big brother. So like what are you thinking when you're saying, you know,
I don't know
we
how
need to build their economy?
I don't understand how that's what you got from what I'm saying. Like I'm literally talking about how black people can work together, and then I start talking about population, because based on population, politically, we need support in order to get anything to move forward in this country. We have to have support from other people.
Right. So what kind of support could Africa give us?
No, what I'm saying is the reason why is because of that change in population. Now, if
I agree with the minority.
Wait. I'm trying to go deeper. I'm trying to go deeper. If you just listen to me, I'm trying to get a little deeper for you. So instead of us having this attitude with these people or whatever, or immigrants coming into the country, my stance is that we should actually support more of them coming in. The more numbers that we have, the more we have to galvanize the support for the things that we want. Okay, but as long as we have to garner support from other people, it's going to take us working with them in order to get something done. So that was my point about this country.
Okay, so C-Dot. Okay. All right. So we have to think organizationally. You're thinking how can I say you're thinking idealistic. Okay, I'm not thinking idealistic. Right?
I don't. What part of that was idealistic to you?
Idealistic. You could do all that without conflict.
Right. Idealistic is you're assuming they bring more of them in here, and they will work with us. Your thing is that the population of immigrants that are here will help us, right? Organizationally, I feel I'm not that I feel. I think that I think evidence shows that first, when Booker T. Washington came about, we didn't need anybody. We were self-reliant. We didn't need anybody. We quietly build. built more institutions during the time of Booker T. Washington in any time period that helped us become self-reliant. Right?
Was Booker T. Washington around in 1921?
The beginning, the beginning. Why would you ask me that?
I'm asking, was he around in 1921? Because in 1921 we had one of the biggest sweeps across the country where white people were able to kill black people. So how were we how were we good when Booker T around? We was just doing everything on our own when obviously we didn't have much control if somebody was able to come through and burn most of our stuff down to the ground. So how would we feel like we was doing so well back in 1921 or in 1901? Or in 1875, like what part in this history were we doing so great?
The water, my good brother. You're
I'm not, because I won't disrespect you at all. I don't want to muddy anything. I'm just talking about realistically. I get that that we want to say that the ideals of our ancestor brother, you know what I'm saying, were great. Booker T was an awesome person, you know what I'm saying, but he like everybody didn't agree with Booker T. WEB used to go back and forth.
Okay, so you asked me a question about Booker T. Washington. So Booker T. Washington died in 1915. The period that you're talking about, 1921, is, well, once we lost Booker T. Washington, right? At the same time, those Europeans or white folks in America were trying to take back the gains that we had, right? So they began attacking structures that was built, had the foundations earlier during the Booker T. Washington period, right? And we were successful. That's why we were successful. And then those white radical groups of people came to take it back, right? Like Black Wall Street, or if we want to call it Black Wall Street, right? Right. So they came back to take our gains, right? So the fact of the matter is, Booker T. Washington had much more of a movement. He wasn't just Tuskegee. He had a printing press, right? So then in so the white folks are watching, look at these black folks get money, right? That's our money. So after that period, we lost some organizational steam.
But we were dependent, but brother Reggie, we have to, we were still dependent on our support from white folks even then. Even Booker T. Washington depended on support from the Rockefellers. Like W.E.B. Du Bois depended on support from the Rockefellers. They put them through school. So we know that in order for a lot of these great black people to be great, we depended on some type of help from other people. And I'm saying that's been a normality in this country because of the fact that we are a minority.
That's not the main issue. We have to look at what we build as a people, independent of white folks, right?
But that's,
and so what we need to focus on our success model instead of a dependency model. Getting back to
that's my point. Even Black Wall Street was dependent on the white oil, the people who went there for the oil rush, the white folks that went there for the oil rush initially. Like they was dependent on that population in order to become Black Wall Street. So
they did not integrate with us.
They didn't integrate. You're right. I'm not saying that they integrated. I'm saying that
they had banks, hotels, insurance companies, theaters, law offices, and stores. It was just all black.
You are correct. We were segregated at the time, but what I'm saying is those segregated communities were also still pretty dependent on the white surrounding communities that were actually populated, bro.
Like banks, hotels, cafes, theaters, law offices, insurance companies, schools, newspapers.
That's not gonna employ the entire population, my brother.
Employed black people because white people weren't hiring us except for maids and butlers and field people.
You're right, and we're also working on those oil fields as hands for a lot of those people.
I'm giving you information, right? Now you tell me. Now you explain the dependency with actual facts to me. I'll listen.
Well,
Explain
that's
it
what I'm saying.
of Black
The
Wall Street.
dependency, even on Black Wall Street, did they have their own money, or were they using the money printed with white people faces on it?
You think that that's
What?
the argument?
Is that finance?
Bro.
We
Not
can go into
argument.
the financial dependency. We can go into the political dependency, because the politics of the entire state. The reason why they was able to go in there and blow up Black Wall Street is because of the politics. We didn't control the politics. They allowed the
I don't know
police,
if
the
you
military to come in and do whatever they wanted to
I
do.
think you're muddying the
I
water.
don't know if you meant to or
I'm
not
not
see
muddying
that,
anything. I'm just
you
being
said that
honest, telling the
we could
truth.
be
Like,
living in
it's not
America
like,
and not use American currency. You're
right.
basically like
Right. So there's
you
no
saying
real
right?
separation,
You made
right?
a
So it's still
false.
a dependency because there's no real separation, because you still have to use their currency. You're still
Okay.
going by what they're allowing you to do
It's
inside of their country, right?
God.
Or am I wrong?
God. Is currency the when I'm talking about banks, hotels, cafes, theater, law office, stores, insurance policy, schools, and newspapers?
All
Is
great things.
currency the only method of value that made Black Wall Street successful? No. Currency was not the only exchange of value. What it was is a community, right, that saw value in their in their structure. So
Uh-huh.
value is exchanged differently than currency. Currency is important. The fact of the matter is, Black people earned that currency from white folks and spent it with themselves. The government wasn't giving us money. We was extracting the money that we earned from our endeavors and using it for our own benefit. Right? So then there is intangible monies that you can't value, that you can't count with direct currency that we exchange. Like just being Black people running, running neighborhoods and cleaning our streets and being respectful to other Black people. Now that is big currency, but that is not monetarily currency. Our dependency, our self-dependency is what got us destroyed. In the end, 10,000 Black people were left homeless. 1,400 homes was destroyed. They sent us back to the Stone Ages, right? They wiped
Right.
out decades of economic Black progress in a matter of goddamn hours, right? So what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to help, C-Dot, and I don't want to raise my voice to you because you're a good
No, you
brother.
good. You good, brother.
My,
I'm saying I talk passionate too, so I'm with you. Go ahead.
my whole thing is getting back to what I was talking about. Problem with Black Wall Street and then Harlem, which I know pretty well. These are what you call corridors, right? They corridors. So they don't really have any real connection with law, right? So what I mean by that is that a corridor is always going to be attacked, right? My motto is pan blackness, right? If you don't like pan Black American, fine. We happen to be in the United States. Pan blackness across America, right? Now we have to do for ourselves first before we do for anybody else. We need to encourage our young people to get off those drugs, get out the gangs, right? That's on the street culture, right? Go to schools, right? Focus on the new technologies because we have an edge in that, right? Our cities and states, right? We have to expand our municipal businesses. Currently, most of our cities are with their business. They spend a lot of business on education, policing, and what do you call it? And sanitation and things like that. We need to expand our cities to involve themselves into profitable businesses to help feed our people.
Right, and I agree with that. But I think that the issue, the main issue that I have with that is being able to centralize black people, or
Government.
even doing that in the first place. I know that's what I'm saying, that even with local government, like I live in Atlanta, so I know about black politics and having black politicians in government. So I have I get how important it is for black people to have representation within politics, especially in the places that we live in. But I also understand the dynamics of the way that white supremacists and white supremacy works in order to break down this power structure.
Yeah,
So
but
and I've seen it happen in the city of Atlanta with, you know what I'm saying, even though you still got black mayoral representatives, the people on these commissions and everything are white folks. You know what I'm saying? The people that
that's because we haven't solved the problem with our own communities, which is to participate.
But that's my point. That's my point. But I'm telling you the strategy that they used in order to make sure that these things don't happen. One was to get rid of the.
I understand the strategies, but it's because of the lack of black unity and the division that we have to.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you about how they've been effective in doing it in places like Atlanta. Because in places like Atlanta, which was predominantly black at one point in time, they learned how to separate the people. So for one, you tear down the projects, and then you scatter the people throughout different areas of the cities. You tear down those projects, build condominiums, move the white population that's been out of the city for so long back into the city. Then what they do is they take over the politics. They become a big factor.
But what the problem is that we don't hold our elected officials accountable. We let them go to church.
We're also being displaced. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get upset. Go ahead.
The problem is our culture of accountability. Right? That is something that we have to solve. Black Wall Street, though it was a corridor, they were self-reliant on black people. Before the white folks came on into Atlanta, right? What we did with Andrew Young, what we did in that particular period, we made it possible. Then what would happen is we dropped our guard. And then lots of black folks from other places began to go to those areas, but they weren't the ones who built up Atlanta. And we let them in, and we let in a lot of bad culture. One of the things that we let in was the drug trade, right? We let the drug trade in. We dropped our guard in Atlanta. The drug trade in Atlanta was one of those things that had a super negative effect. And then this new population of black folks running from places like New York and Jersey and other places like that with their bad characteristics and their sexual preferences and stuff like that invaded Atlanta. We dropped our guard on our own culture. So that's why I'm saying that, well, if we don't fix this and we focus on inviting other people in, right? I'm saying those other people that come in, they either work for us or they have no jobs. We don't do necessarily business with them, right? Because if they don't want to do business with us, we don't want to be business with us. So my problem with the FBAs is instead of calling them names, they have no plan and structure to deal with it, right? The Cuban population in Florida, right? They do business with Cubans. They will accept black money. They will let us into the clubs. But at the end of the day, they're about their silent business of building up the Cuban population in the United States, right? In Florida, where they are. We don't have this group mentality that we have to create. So it is crazy for me, and I've been to Africa, run tours in Africa. It's crazy for me to have an idealistic picture of what they can do, because when I went there, the majority of them were barefoot, right? Dirt roads. And with Ghana, it was largely a lot of Black American money. It gave them how can I say, gave them resources to in fact improve themselves, And what do we get out of it? We got nothing out of it. Right? We got nothing out of it. When I came back and I reflected about what went wrong, when I came back, what we didn't do is that we didn't organize ourselves, right, in group entrepreneurs and or organize our city and states, right, to do business with them. Right?
Okay.
We went in there as settlers. We got nothing out of this settler mentality.
Got you. Cause Lord have mercy.
Nobody.
I don't know if you.
He put this shit all together.
I don't know if you understand. I don't know if you understand how you like your framing goes from left to right real quick. You know what I'm saying? And I get trying to create this whole Pan American thing or whatever in a sense. Trying to so-called unify, but understanding that the nuances of this country and the fact that a lot of the black people who usually get engaged with a lot of these conversations that actually push the needle for black progression are sometimes of different descent. I mean, I'm not gonna ever go against people like Shirley Chisholm or, like I mentioned before, Marcus Garvey, who are people that were from different places that came here and made impacts. So to start to garner this whole thought process of being anti-immigrant or anti-African, anti-islander or or not even just anti, the fact of saying that you have to work. Hold on, wait. Just let me finish, bro. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't want to try to I ain't trying to put no words in your mouth or anything. This is just how I received what you were saying. That's all I'm doing, is explaining how I received it. And I received it as like what you saying, things like they got to come over here and work for us, and if we ain't like, a lot of that was like a lot of that was offensive for me to listen to, so I can imagine it being offensive for somebody else coming out of somewhere else and somebody saying, well, look, you got to work for me. Like, even with us being Americans going to Africa, like that was your same, to me it sounded like that was your same thought process, is that, you know what I'm saying, they depended on Black American money and they depended on this, that, in order to come. Like, for me, that would be offensive. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's a lot of examples. Ashley in Africa is one example. I think there are a lot of examples of Black people who actually, create forums, or Black Americans, I'm sorry, who create forums in these in certain places in Africa or whatnot, and are able to do business with them without having this superiority complex to where we feel like we need to be in charge or in the main role of everything that's going on. I think the person that, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so since you didn't want to put words in my mouth, let me tell you how it really works. In our cities and states, because we live in the United States, there's residency laws, right? Right. So when you have residency laws, right? That residency laws dictate benefits, right? And benefits are all type of housing, food, and things like that. But residency laws help control who gets things first, right? Who gets things first? So the fact of the matter is, residents of our cities and states should get things first, right? So when they come in and about working for them, well, if they extract our dollars, right? Meaning we shop with them, right? And of course, they should be in fact taxed by our city and state government and farm residency laws, right? Now, the reason why I say that is because if you go to Ghana, have you been to Africa at all?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so that makes my point. So when you go to Africa now, where there are less benefits that they distribute to the people, right? There are residency laws. How long you can stay, right? what you do when you stay. The fact of the matter is they're not open, but we have to be so open, right? They're not open to us, but we have to be open to them. Now,
I
I'm
think that's false.
not an FBA, right? Because I look for structure, not rhetoric words with hate. I look for organization. I would rather our cities and states or groups of entrepreneurs attempt to do business with them so it's reciprocal, not one way. I have never seen not one African, right, come here looking for their kuta kinte among us. Oh, my brother, I found you. Oh, you were sold, and I miss you. I love you. No, what we do is we go to these places with our feelings, not with our organization.
They wanted. Come on, Reggie. Come on, man. I need you. Come on, Reggie. Like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
So you cut me off.
this
You let
whole
me cut you let me cut you
this
off.
whole Black
You let me cut
American
you off,
thing.
but
Like,
I'm
this
giving
is
you facts.
really
But you
anti.
don't
Like,
want me to
I
talk.
can't. It's not facts, though. It's not facts. You're talking about your personal experience. You're not speaking on facts because you're not
I'm
speaking on
saying they
everybody's
don't come here
experience.
looking for us. They don't come here looking for their
Why?
relatives that were sold. They don't
But
come here. They come here for
so
business.
so you go over there looking for your relatives? That's what you go over there for? When you went
So
to Africa, you went over there looking for your
yes,
relatives.
the
That's what you're telling me
majority of
right
us
now?
go there for the majority of us go there for ancestral reasons.
But
They
that
are
would be the
looking
dumbest thing
for
ever, Reggie, because a lot of the majority of us are
calling me
so
dumb.
like hundreds of
You're not
years
calling me dumb, are you?
removed from Africa. So why would
Okay,
we
so
go over
let me
there thinking we're gonna
explain
find our
something
first
to you.
cousin or something? Like that's not
If you
how it
want to be,
works.
so let me explain to you something that you probably don't know. The majority of the people in the South that joined the Garvey movement wanted to go home. Their parents, grandparents, some of them more recent people that was human trafficking. They wanted
The
to go.
majority of the people who joined the Garvey movement wanted to go home because that was the purpose of the Garvey movement. Garvey had a movement of repatriation. So of course the people that joined the movement wanted to go home. That was the
No,
purpose
these
of it.
people, or their home was in the United States. I'm talking about the recent Africans that came here. The majority of them were Black Americans that had been here for 200 to 300 years. Their home was America, right? The emphasis was a lot of groups of people who were recent descendants of Africans wanted to go home, right? So that's not
Right.
right.
It was
Second
already
of all, what I am talking about is doing it the right way with organization. So I'm talking about city and state constructs. I'm talking about residency laws. Now, the problem with our community, not just the African or the Caribbean groups of people who come into our community, we have other groups that come into our community, like the Arab groups, the some Arab groups of all different types. They are able to set up stores, right? We don't have any accountability when they do it, right?
but you're
So
saying that like you have the control of that. This ain't your you don't control the politics of this country who allow the people to come into this country and do what they do and
now
have
our
these
cities and
businesses.
states,
So
our
how
cities,
are we acting like we control that?
because we don't know that we can. You don't know that we can by city law, state law, by residencies, right? Residencies, by
How if
local
you don't
municipal laws. You
control a
don't know
city and
that. See
state?
that?
I do because we
You
don't
just think that we're
control
just
these
pondering
systems.
savages in the United States. We have power that we don't use.
Oh my God, bro. This is crazy to
Calling
me
God
because
because God
you talking
created all
like
this
we
BS.
control these circumstances here in America when that's a like that's a fantasy, bro. Like I don't know what fantasy you live in when you telling people that we are in control of who can come over here and how they can move when they get over here.
Are
We do not make
insulting.
these laws and all of these things happen. Why?
We have
Because we are not the majority. We do
no
not
in
have the majority
our
position
cities
in order
and
to make
states
these
where
positions
we
on
are
how
the
the law is
majority.
going to work.
In our cities and states where we are the majority, that's why we got elected officials who are mayors, who are county officials, who are Black, they create the laws, right? Regulations in their cities, states, and I mean in their cities
How many
and their
black people are how many black governors do we have right now?
I don't know, maybe about 4, 5, 6, right?
4, 5,
But
6.
I'm not.
Let's find it. Let's find it.
But
Go ahead. Keep talking.
I'm really talking about about how many Black mayors do we have? You want to play with me? So how many Black
Well, I
mayors
mean,
do we have?
mayors are still subject to the ruling of the state.
Wait,
So
wait, wait.
I
See,
mean,
that's
if we don't
see,
control the state, then we
no,
really
no,
can't
no. But you can
claim to have too
control.
much control over the city. We
Okay,
still
so
limited.
here's where this is the problem. So you don't know our. You're just one of those
State
people who
law
just don't know
overrides
power.
city law. I don't know
No,
what
no.
part that
City law
do,
is
do
the
we not understand that?
law. No, because city law, right? City and county law are the strongest laws. Federal law is the floor on which no law can go under. City and state laws and county laws allow rights to rise to its
Can't say
ceiling.
city and state because there's levels to it. City is a level. State law is
I'm
above city law.
breaking.
So
No,
federal law is
no,
above state law.
no.
So it's
No.
levels to it.
You are wrong. You see,
Oh,
that's the
okay.
problem. You're trying
Okay.
to be right,
I'm
but let me
wrong
explain
about
something.
cities
City
being
law
subject to
is the
state law. I don't understand it.
fundamental basis of government. Right? That's how every government starts. It starts with colonies, and then they become cities, then they become states, and then federal organizes it. Federal law is the law in which no law can go under. You can't violate federal law. But in cities and states, don't cut me off.
Ain't nobody cut you.
City
Keep
and
talking. I ain't cut you off.
city, they don't make a noise.
Oh, come on now, Reggie. Don't do that. We
You're
grown men.
distracting me. Oh, I'm grown. I'm 60 years old.
I mean, I don't let noises distract me. I mean, I'll mute my microphone. How about that? But you can't tell me like don't distract. Come on, just talk. We're doing good right now. Just keep talking.
I'm doing great. Okay. So when I wrote the Black City Plan is our version of how I understood how white citizens or people who became white, right, how they built up their cities by using their majority populations. And so people who were not white, like the Irish, the Italian, right, the Jewish, and other groups like the Mormons, how those groups of people rose to power. Then I looked at what we were doing and when we were right and when we was wrong. And now to go back to a structure in which we use city law. City law is where rights can rise. So when you look at these cities that are majority white, right, their law benefits their people. They get less tax. They control when Walmart comes in, how these big companies conflict with their local businesses, and they make sure that it is equitable. In Black cities, where we have the power to force out these big companies that take away Black entrepreneurship, we sometimes drop the ball because, right, we don't hold our city and county officials uh, responsible, right, accountable. So we have the same, we're just a population in America like other populations, but we can learn from organizational structures on how to deal with it. On the immigrant population, any immigrant population, residents of a city should have more right. Residents of city and county should have more rights. What I mean is a lot of cities, states, if you don't know, if you want to be a police officer or a city worker, you have to have lived in that country, I mean in that city or at least 3 years, right? To get these are laws that are on the books. We need to enforce those things, right? Now, how businesses, you can't even construct a house in any of these cities without city regulations. City regulations is the key into which how every city is governed. All I'm saying is that we can use our city law to uh, to hold groups of people coming into our city accountable, right? We can use that. We don't use that. We can use our city and county law to in fact deal with Africa in itself for its resources, right? Our entrepreneurs are buying products from other groups of people who have extracted it from Africa, whereas we can buy directly from them, right? So that we don't our black cities don't pay more, right? Then with that, there's a lot of positive things that can go around. What happened was the city model was so successful after the first Cleveland, the mayor in Cleveland became mayor, black cities popped up all over, right? But the problem is that we uh, didn't understand the power that we had when that happened. And because we did not understand it, we let down the people. Said, great, we got a mayor, we got city officials, we got all of this is great, everything's going to happen. We didn't hold those people accountable to make sure that it was working in our best interest, right? But those white cities, the Italians, the Irish, all these other groups of people, they did. So it's something that can be done, even with white supremacy on our back, right? But what we find out is a lot of our city officials that get caught up in all of these type of how can I say, payola type of things and stuff like that, because we're not watching them. So we have to wait till the federal government and other officials come in and put charges on them. But we already know what we're doing it because there's a certain faction of our people who always act illegally.
Aren't you admitting in this just that sentence that the feds are over? You know what I'm saying? Even those city officials that you're talking about, like they can actually come in and make decisions based on how they want to do it. And then how do we fight? How are we fighting white supremacists or white supremacy by basically joining in on it by being anti-immigrant or having this or partially immigrant or subject to bases on which we feel like we need to set on them when they come into the country? Like, how does any of that fight white supremacy in this country? It seems like a lot of that would just help it. The
Question.
sentiment in itself would help white
First
supremacy.
first answer to your question is when cities and states can't manage themselves and they detect, the federal government detects by their surveillance that city officials are on the take and things like that because of wiretaps and things like that, things that they could see, they step in, right?
Oh,
So
and there's
that
only one governor, one
now
black
you
governor.
can't cut me off now because I'm now answering your questions, even though you intercepted in this, right?
Cause you, brother Reggie, can you admit that you are very long winded at times and that you don't really let other people engage in the conversation because of your explanations? Like you went into the whole city plan and all of that, and you know what I'm saying, I'm muted and all this other stuff, and you still going. So at some point in time, we have to be able to engage. So if I don't like try to jump in and engage while you're talking, then we'll never have a conversation. It'll just be you talking. So,
Uh,
like, I just want to make sure that I'm engaging so that we having a
here,
structured
this
conversation.
in this particular case, I had stopped and I was answering your questions. So now you're not letting me answer my question, and now you're accusing me of being long-winded when I'm
Okay,
answering your question.
I apologize. I'll mute again. My bad.
Right. So on the second, so I think I said that on the second issue, which if I could, can you state your second question again so I can make sure I'm going to talk to it directly?
My question was based around the fact that the anti-immigrant sentiment that we are having towards these people, which I would consider, you might not call it that, but I consider the anti-immigrant sentiment for a lot of our diaspora and Black people. So if we feel like having this attitude towards them is going, I mean, how do we feel like that's going to positively progress our mission here in America? I'll leave it at that.
Okay, I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-African immigrant, right? But when cities that are majority Black, right, don't enforce issues of residency or issues of criminality, right? What we have is a negative. What we have is a negative effect, right? So then we lost so much in Arizona and California of Black populations that was there, right? Cities that were majority of Blacks were moved in by other groups, Latino groups of people. We lost houses, residency, voting power. We lost all of that. Why? Because we were lax on our own laws. Then when it comes to employment, residents who have been in these cities for at least 3 to 5 years, right? If they're city municipal jobs, right, they are supposed to get those first, right? So what we're doing is the power that we do have to manage these type of things, we don't use. The population of the African immigrants and the Caribbean immigrants is so small, you really can't see. You only see it in the big cities. You don't see it in the little cities. So it's really not a problem, right? People are making it a problem, right? But the fact of the matter is that we need to control our own borders, even from people, Black people who come from other states into cities, right? They come with lots of different cultures. That's what happened in Atlanta, right? We were too lax on that, right? So we didn't control, but other cities and states by white people, they control that, right? So I must stop, and I think I need to do some. I'm gonna listen for a while, and I'm gonna do some other things. But my is an organizational structure. A lot of people have feeling structures. I usually can back up my organizational structure by data.
Well, okay. Well, just to respond to that, because feelings are a big part of it. You know what I mean? Feelings is what inspire people in order to do things that they might not typically do. So, in order to inspire people, I think that is good to actually give some type of positive reflection on, especially individuals that we will hope that will want to work with us in order to progress in this country as a minority. So, I think it's smarter politically to garner support than it is to try to isolate yourself politically in this country, especially when it pertains to Black people, because we already understand that we have this thing called white supremacy that typically tries to keep us at the bottom of everything. So this is why I say that I think it's a negative effect to try to disparage or to try to cause conflict within Black people that decide to come over here, or even the ones that, you know what I'm saying, that have been colonized mentally, because there are also Africans that are colonized mentally. You know what I'm saying? That, like, that's a reality. That's not like, I don't live the fantasy of, oh, when we go to Africa, everything is just going to be unified. No, it's still plenty of work to be done in Africa. And Pan-Africanists in Africa say the same thing, like PLO Lumumba, like Julius Malema. All of these people are still working on collectivifying and unifying Black people on the continent. So I don't agree with saying that it doesn't make sense, because, like I said, Pan-Africanism can not only work ideologically, but it can also work in a political sense, a political aspect of us unifying behind the politics that we want to push. And it can also push diasporan Africans into supporting what we trying to do. Same way we should be supporting diasporan Africans wherever they are in the world. If it's an issue, we should be behind it, supporting it. You had Julius Malema in South Africa pushing for the Black Lives Matter or whatever. The Mike Brown situation when I can't breathe, or I forget what the slogan was, but like you saw people in South Africa getting behind that and actually pushing that publicly, pushing that to the media and all of that type of stuff. Like, we need all of that type of support. To say that it's irrelevant or that, you know what I'm saying, it don't qualify for anything shows how disunified we are, and it pushes us back and not forward. I don't think just saying we need to collectivify as Americans or as Black Americans is our out. Because even if we collectivify this 40 some odd million people over here, we are still the super minority in this country. We're still only 14 to 15% of the country. So therefore, we have to still strategize in order to find out how we are going to garner support from the different other minorities or or parts of the minority that's in the majority, in order to garner support for the things we won't push forward. We've seen that in the past. The things that worked were the things that we put together and garnered support for. Things that didn't work are the things that we are isolating ourselves on.
Okay.
So-
Well, I think we should continue. I'm gonna stop. I think I made my point about the need to organize, to be structured, to and to do it that way. But I'm gonna stop. Continue. What's going
So,
on? Bass, how you doing?
hey, what's going on? I just got in here. I apologize. And I don't want to keep you much longer. And Brother Reggie, we got some things to discuss around that FBA and a couple other conversations we want to do. More like a paid thing. I want to do like a paid thing. So
I'm your brother.
No. I know you think I don't watch your channel, but what I tell you had me hollering the other night around 11:30 at night. Well, you were you were going off. That's the kind of Reggie action I like to see. I think people listen to you a little bit more when you start saying, "Bring me your best."
Yes,
that's the
please. You did it.
I'd
You
like
did a
to
good
see.
show the other.
I stayed there. I watched that. I watched about.
You did a
45
good
minutes
show
of
the
that
other
That was
night.
really good. What you were doing, and
I don't know if
like
you could
the show.
post. I don't know. I was about to say, Brass. I don't know if somebody. I'll do it. But we should post
Put it in
Brother
the
Reggie's
Discord.
channel. Yeah, I'm about to do that right now.
Discord.
'Cause that was a great
Yeah, I
show
like
there.
that because that brings me your best. And then too, Brother Reggie, I replayed a show that you did on our channel, and I literally have it in my notes to set up something FBA with you, because you literally on our show said the same thing. I replayed it from like a year ago. I think it was a FBA as a lineage, and you were saying, "Bring me your best. Let's have a real conversation." And that's the kind of content I like. I'm not the Green Sahara. They was talking about sub-Saharan this morning. I was half asleep. I couldn't even concentrate. But when you with the FBA conversation is something more relevant to today in my mind. So that's so I want to hit you up. But like I said, with you specifically and certain leaders like Chris Harris and stuff like that, I want to have paid stuff, not just random pop-ups and shows, like organized stuff where we got like a format and things like that. So we'll be hitting you up this week.
Tell them to bring their best, because they haven't read the Constitution. They are so silly. So once I throw them with the Constitution, they're asking for something that can't be granted in law. And they've been scamming and fooling people for a long time. And it wasn't until they started blocking me from their chats and then calling me an agent. And then I take offense to that. And so now I've been real quiet. Now I'm not being so quiet. So I'm going to hit them with law. They're asking our people for something to follow them, and they're leading us down a damn one-way street.
We got a guy named Truth Savior that I think you would be I think that would be a good conversation. He's a source guy. He's got like a hip hop kind of backing. Plus he's a little bit of age. So, one thing I noticed with you, even with the qualifications or educations, this, that, and the other, a lot of times I would assume some of your anger or venom is you're talking to a person that doesn't even have enough life history to really be making the statements that they're making about Black people as a group. So this is a guy that's a little bit more seasoned and has seen some of the other things
that you've seen. Y'all had a discussion before. Y'all just talked about hip hop in the Bronx. So I'll send you that video just to refresh you. But no, I'll get your stuff together because once it starts, it's part of the reason why we backed away from the FBA conversation before is because when we started talking about it, we realized this was going to take a heavy investment, and I just wasn't. I didn't really care. But now I'm in a position where we can do a little bit more and have a little bit more freedom. So.
Hey, yeah, and my last thing before I jump out of here too, bro, Reggie. That was a good conversation that you was having with the hip hop conversation. Half my family, my mother's from the South Bronx. I mean, from Bronx River Projects, actually, to be specific. And they got a lot of history. So a lot of the stuff that you was talking about when you was talking about the spade and all that type of stuff, you was kicking pure factual knowledge and stuff that I've heard my uncles talk about for God knows how long now. So much props to that conversation that you was having, bro.
Yeah, I live in
Yeah,
Connecticut.
y'all killed it today, man. That was really, really cool. Be honest with you, I tell you this all the time, Reggie. I actually like when we actually do be agreeing on stuff because there's stuff there for us to build on, right? Like, having conversations like this definitely lead to a lot better conversations, a lot better questions. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know we can't do this all day, every day. We're gonna have to have some fun, but like we need more of this for sure. I'm just telling you, I loved it. I thought it was fire.
Well, I'm usually a mild mannered person. I try to be intergenerational, and but I've had a long history of just listening to some of the greatest. I may not be able to articulate it like some of these charismatic hip hop rhyming type of people that try to make points, non-points. But that's why I come on your show. I come on your show to say I do more than uh, history on Africa. That's just one of my major thing was always black people in the United States, right? My own family and where I'm from, and how I intersect that into New York City, and so it's always a how can I say? Sometimes I get loud with people because there's just don't, there's a lack of just life experience, and then I always ask people, okay, fine, show me what you're saying, factual in writing, right? And every time I do something, I usually apply facts to it, unless I'm just having a conversation. But a lot of people are not factual. They can't cite sources. They can't show models that show what they say. But nevertheless, y'all know who I am, and listen, man. I mean, I appreciate giving so much, but I get so little. Brass always, no matter what, he gives me something. If I gave a dollar, if I got a dollar for a person, I would not complain. But sometimes I only get $15 a show, right? And then that forced me to make bad deals with other people who super exploited me over years, right? Of super exploited me, right? For the purposes of them making money, right? Well, and it's not me that they do it to. They do it to a lot of people, but I am someone that shouldn't do that to. But
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, uh, what's the brother's name? His name is Truth what? Savior?
Truth Savior. I send you the video. He's got his main focus is he's a FBA, staunch
Uh,
FBA.
uh,
But his main channel is protecting the birth of hip hop. So he gets into his is, talking to people from the area, talking to people from the time. Um, he talks about where the breakdancing came from, where all of it is. And that's what I mean, brother Reggie. Once we get into the FB, we started off in hip hop and it went to FBA, and then the intertwining of the two. If you remember the show I'm talking about, the show was they were trying to say that hip hop was 100% FBA, and then you came in and brought in like, well, this was the Bronx, and that wasn't all FBA. So it's a tedious, it's a long conversation, but I think it's worth it to have because I
I
got my
don't want to
own
talk
thoughts
about
on some
hip
of this stuff.
hop. I want to talk about FBA, but
No. I'm just telling you your history with him. When you came on and you said, "Bring me your best," that's when you took it. Matter of fact, what you just did, you took it from hip hop and said, "I don't even want to talk about that. Let's talk about FBA." You said hip hop started in the Bronx, and then you started talking about FBA. So that's what I
only
I
hip
want to
hop
move to that.
store, only hip hop store uh, that is meaningful right now is on Westchester Avenue next to Parkchester, and it's run by Latinos. Ain't not
Mm,
one black person in it, but a hip hop store. It's not a
Wow.
record store. It's not a record store. They sell merchandise and they push hip hop. They have a bus. They do outreach. It ain't no black people doing it. It's Latinos doing it, right? Because they feel that they were part of it and they can show you that they were part of it. It was a neighborhood thing. Hip hop
hmm
is in
Right.
separate neighborhoods. And so for them to be running this foundational Black American, a lot of hip hop people were Caribbean. So I don't know why they are always trying to push out and divide people when the facts on the ground says that the Bronx is a Latino black Latino community. I don't
Yeah.
know why. So Truth Savior or whatever my brother's name is and stuff like that. Uh, it's been integrated neighborhoods, right? So, but I'm going to talk to him about his FBA stuff.
No, that's what I want to get y'all in there for. I want to have it because, like I said, we're rolling out in September paid debates, but we're also rolling out in September paid conversations because everything isn't a debate. Some things is just you know you're just talking, two people talking. And the crazy thing is, you and him present very well because I really don't like listening to 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds tell me about the start of hip hop in the 70s. It's like you don't know. You weren't born. Your parents might not have been born. You're talking about what you read. The thing I liked about True Savior is the people that he talks to while they're still alive and while we can still deal with them. Members of the spade, the Black Spades, members of the of certain crews at the time. We get to have direct conversations with those people because they're still alive. So it's nothing better than the boots on the ground, people that went to the party, to that party or whatever, that can tell you how big the building is, and just little stuff like that. So no, but with him, you and FBA, he's such a staunch FBA. I'm gonna send you the video. I'm gonna put it in the chat and tag you so you can see in the
I
video because
don't
we've
know
had
how to.
conversations with him.
I don't know how to use you have my email because I don't know how to
Yeah, I
use
send
this.
it to you. I send it
Yeah.
to you.
Hey, Brass, send them the one with Minnesota Money too, because that was a real
Yeah,
good one
Minnesota
too.
money. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it
Yeah.
about
He just
hip
hit me
hop?
up the other day. No. That's a hip hop thing. I did an
Yeah.
FBA show with True Savior. That was pure FBA. And he was explaining, and you were on that one too. He was explaining uh is it a lineage? Is it this? We went all into the website. It was a 5-hour show, but it was like 300 people up there. I had to close the chat out because it gets too crazy because a lot of those chats are worse than any chats I've ever been in. Everybody's a tether and they just going back and forth. But I could tell they go from
Talking
site
about
to show, cussing each other out. So whoever does the
talking
show
about
is going to get
the
confused.
FBA chat, the FBA
Yeah, the
chats.
FBA chats, they're
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
You're
It's
right.
So
like they pitch a Baptist. They go to an area and pitch a tent and have
yeah,
you come. And at the end, they say they're gonna feed you. So people come and listen to the non-factual BS. And people who can't write, they can talk, but they
Hey,
can't source.
Reggie, can I say
but
something? You gotta stop saying you're not a charismatic speaker, bro. You are. You like some when you
no,
get in your
he got to get
bag.
upset. As soon as he get
Yeah.
upset,
Yeah,
it's a whole
when
nother.
you
Why?
You
get in
keep
your
saying you don't
bag,
connect with
bro.
the youth, but once you get upset, you right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You just got to get upset.
Man,
Why I get
I
upset?
love Reggie when he's like this.
I get upset is when I can look at some of the channels and somebody can be in a a barbershop, right? In his haircut, and they got 400 people in the building, and all they doing is posing in front of the camera, and they got 400 people in the building. I hate that, right? So I'm not charismatic. I don't sometimes don't even care what I look like, right? But when I'm angry and when I got you, then and you're disrespect. I wait for you to be disrespectful. When you're disrespectful, then I'm gonna intellectually disrespect you, right? And I've had lots of I've had debates, conversations with, the Moors. Sharif Bey is my brother. We cool, right? But who are Wesley Muhammad and stuff like that, and things like that. Like I don't fear these. I don't fear people that people think is super intelligent or because I don't fear them because I'm older than them. I know anyway. Brass family, let's set it up. If he want to talk that lineage-based bullshit, excuse me, right? And then I got him.
No,
'Cause
no
if he
question
got
at all.
college education, check to see if he got some college education. If he ain't got
No
no college
problem.
education, it's gonna be a wash.
Maybe I do a panel and just make y'all the main speakers. I get it done though. Don't worry about it. But it's good talking to you, bro.
Oh, nothing. If he ain't got nothing published on the subject, see, I listen. I testified in City Hall in 2001. I have a published article in Institution of Black World, right, and NARC on reparations, right. If you ain't published nothing, then you just digging in your you you digging in your butt while you sleeping. You I'm not the one.
I got you, brother.
I forgot that you was scratching your ass when you was sleeping, but I got you. If he ain't wrote nothing, then it's just irrelevant. And he might be a good brother, but you're not dealing with that type of person, right? There you go.
Hey, one of the most classic Brother Reggie lines is "I'm published, bitch." For niggas who don't know, I'm published. I'll never forget that show. Y'all got to put some respect on Reggie's name.
I'm published, bitch.
The level is
Right?
crazy.
I love, boy. I wish I could find that show. That was classic.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, it's always a pleasure, Brass and family,
Yes,
to
sir.
be on here. Even when I disagree, I only come on to just add some arguments, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. And Corey's my dude. It's just that Corey, Corey. Corey. I like Corey and I like Sheffrin, right? I like them. They are very great entertainers when it comes to this space, right? And sometimes they actually make me work harder, right? I got to go and find something to let them know, okay, I need to mention this. But anyway, I'm gonna leave. I've been on here for 2 hours or so, so I appreciate
Have a good one.
Oh,
Yes,
let
sir.
me put my
Right
cash
on,
app.
Brother Reggie.
Can you put my you this is on Discord.
Yeah, it's on the Discord, but when I put it up,
Yeah,
I put the
that's funny.
I sent you something, and then when I put the video up, I put it in the I have it scroll across the bottom because I got to edit this up.
It helps pay for my internet bill at the end of the month and stuff. I don't get a lot of cash apps. Believe it or not, I don't get a lot of cash apps. I don't get a lot of support, but I give a lot. All right. So thanks so very much, Brass. I appreciate y'all hits, all
Yes,
of
sir.
that. All right. And the family, appreciate y'all. Bye.
Later, brother.
Peace out, Brother Reggie.
What was y'all talking about? I
I like
just
to
got in
post
here
my
like
Cash
20,
App
15
too.
minutes ago. Who said that?
Sister Mika.
Yeah, please put my Cash App in the chat too.
No. We're gonna need some research papers if you're gonna put your
Yeah,
cash out.
are you published? You gotta be published now.
Got
You gotta at a minimum be published. What was y'all talking about though?
Nah,
Like y'all was having a good conversation.
I was kind of confused over the conversation. I wish C-Dot was still back in here. I'm gonna tell you
Bro,
this
so
much.
I'm
Was
fine with
FBA? Well, when Reggie came in, Reggie got on the FBA, and then it moved over into reparations. because right
Okay, the
now
C
Reggie's
dot
on a
engine.
tear. Yeah, Reggie on the tear
I
right
mean,
now
no,
against
my fault. The
FBA.
C dot FBA.
But there was a
Uh,
seamless
no,
Nah,
transition.
C dot is on some Pan African craziness.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
yeah.
there
No,
was a
I think
seamless
he
transition
agreed with Reggie more than he disagreed. Yeah, I think.
from sub-Saharan. There was a seamless transition from sub-Saharan Africa to geopolitics. Now, what they actually got in common, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I told you,
I don't think.
brother
I think one
Reggie
of the
is on
questions
the tear against FBA. He making his rounds.
I
He
think one of
making
the
his
questions
rounds.
y'all need to ask everybody, in the little bit I heard, I was going kind of in and out of the chat. You got to be very careful though in these conversations when we keep saying we and our.
Man, niggas speak a lot of
Because you can say it so much that you'll begin to believe that all of the black households are connected and in communication with each other, or that any race, all the households are connected and in communication with each other. So when you start having these monolithic conversations, they sound amazing, but you actually skip the first step. So it's like, we don't have this, or we can do this, or we don't have that. And in actuality, the conversation can end at the beginning. When we say black cities, you can call it a black city, but it's only about just a little bit more than 50%. And when you say why they're not necessarily black cities, they're just cities where more than 50% is black. It's not like 90, 80%. And then the other part is when you start talking about, especially a city failing, you're not talking about mismanagement. That's a federal thing. So now these cities runs off federal funds too. So when you got a city that doesn't get those kinds of funds, you can run it as great as you want, but it's not going to matter. Even when not y'all, but whoever brought up Molina's issue was he was just so rhetoric based. It was a lot of fiery this and fiery that, but in all actuality, and hits, I'm sure you concur. This is our economy is a system where when you're trying to operate outside of it, you're gonna have a challenge. It's an integrated system. So trying to say all black people are gonna operate in a capitalistic society without capitalism, it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense when you take all one race and do that. All one race of anything and do anything. So you
I think in general,
um
most of us are having like just surface level conversations, and it is important to clarify sometimes I and me or us and we. And I think when it's us and we, most people who we come across in these circles, can take care of themselves, self-sufficient, but may be concerned about the people who aren't, or the people who actually going through it. So that may be on the we side or the us side, not us literally, like whoever's in here, but us as group. And there's data to prove a lot of that. So, but yeah, the civics and all that is important. It's a huge topic, so it's hard to just chop it down to 2 hours. But I think everybody did good with it.
Yeah, financial literacy and access to capital is our main issue. And we can't say the financial literacy without saying the access to capital. And when you try to isolate yourself in an integrated economy, our system, wealth and all of that isn't built in like a not exclusion. It's not built in isolation. It's not something to do. That's why when John Hope Bryant, he kind of chastised, white people when they were doing the DEI conversation. You'll probably heard me say it before, but that when they're trying to cut off the diversity part of DEI, there isn't enough white people to drive the economy. So if they want to keep black and brown and everybody out, then they're going to have to train and or birth way more white people if they don't want anybody else to do it, because it's not enough college educated of those guys in finance specifically or in civics. So we're running into a situation where you're going to have to be diverse in order for the country to go, or the country being in a really bad way. So, and then when you're talking, I heard somebody say something about minority, whatever. Pretty soon, the majority minority, that won't even matter because they won't even be the majority. The minorities will be the majority of the United States if you add them all together. And the danger with that is even that is still a we. Us as minorities, we don't operate together. We don't operate like there is no plan of like when we wake up and do something together as Black people other than talk to each other. So there is no.
Right.
So when you say we, I've been called selfish 1,000 times because I'm focused on my household. But I start with my household, and if everybody started with their household, you can mimic the we effect. But when we start trying to say leave outside of your house and go to someone else's house and work with them, and they go to somebody else's house and work with them, that's just not realistic because that doesn't happen with any other group outside of a religious aspect, but not a racial aspect.
Well,
So
here's the
you got to
thing.
be very careful when you're talking about Black cities. You got to be very careful because Black cities become Black targets. And cities run from federal funding. They cut that at Capitol, and it won't matter if you got Obama at the helm or the greatest strategist ever. Without access to capital, is pointless.
Well, the conversation that C. Dot and Reggie got into, it wasn't. I kind of still. I'm not even kind of. I'm on Reggie's side only because what it ended up being, or what it ended up turning into, was a more of a Pan African, kind of how much involvement should we have with people from the continent versus how much should we just be focusing on our own shit. And so in that aspect, I was completely agreeing with what Reggie was saying.
What
Like
was he saying?
he was saying, focus on here. So that's what he was saying. Like, and Reggie is pretty quote unquote Pan African, this, that, and the other. Like, he's like, listen, I don't give a fuck. Like, we should be focused here first. And he was even making the case that comes to people who, or that even comes to Africans that come here. Like we could, kind of sort of organize and connect with them, but I think this kind of fucked with C. Dot. Once we start, he mentioned the word residency, and he was talking about like what to do with African immigrants when they come here, and he used the word work for us, and I think that really kind of bothered see that, but I get exactly what he was saying.
Well, pride doesn't build a bank.
And you realize, Smalls,
it
if he
wasn't a
never said
prideful
that,
thing though. Go ahead.
No,
if he never said that, Smalls, we would have never got to the bottom of what C-Dot was saying. You notice that?
Right.
We would have been talking all around his point till right now if Reggie didn't say that. Because that his whole point was that he was attempting to imply that there was some sort of like I don't know, some kind of like benefit to building Africa's economy. Right. So I asked him several different times, several different ways. I said, so are you like preparing for conflict? Like, because it sounds like you need a big brother, right? You're trying to, you're not, he wasn't like saying that we need support from locals. He's saying we need support from all across the world. So I'm like, yo, like what could you be having in mind that requires all of that support, gang? Like you don't require all that to just go to the booth and vote. Like, so what you trying to do? He wouldn't say it. You know what I'm saying? So the one thing we did get him to say is that we got to build Africa's economy.
What we need to focus first on is you fix the wealth gap, the housing, the schools, and the businesses here. Because
that's what Reggie was saying.
Let's be 100%. We don't even know what Africa's issues are. And on top of that,
and they're of no obligation to return the favor.
Yeah, and their governments are focused on their population. They're not focused on us. They
Right.
don't see African Americans. They don't even see African Americans as a group. They just see us as African Americans, like, and then other pejoratives. They don't see African Americans like they would look at China or Europe or Russia, like as strategic trading partners and all of that. And then on top of that, with the amount of corruption and you don't know what's real and what ain't. I mean, how many people invested in that Ibrahim electric car only to find out it was just a Chinese car? There was no
With his
factories,
name on it.
no manufacturing, just had his name on it. And he took
Yeah.
in all of them funds and kept it. So let's be real. And this goes back to Logic's argument. Listen, pride is only gonna get you so far. So you get fired up and you could be so excited, but Pan Africanism will make you feel real good. But it never creates an institution, it never creates a bank, it never creates anything that you need to move forward. It just makes you feel great. You don't create no political blocks because once the work don't care who do it. It just want to get done. So
And
when you them that's why sometimes people call it rubber reach the road, but what it really is when the work meets your pockets. Sometimes you got to stop talking and just kind of separate yourself from that. Everybody's like, yeah, 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 and then it's like, all right, well, we coming back Wednesday. We're gonna put the money in the till, and we're gonna start investing in this, and the other. And don't nobody come to that meeting. And that's usually what happens because the shouting and all of that doesn't lead to the actual work. But work don't care who do it. That's the beautiful thing about work. It doesn't care if you do
after
it, I do it, Logic do it. Only thing work want to do is get done.
or a goddamn robot does it. Let's put
Yeah,
that
it
out there
doesn't
too.
matter. It just wants to get done. So
I'm gonna tell you the truth. After hearing this
what are you telling us
conversation
before?
today,
What were you saying before?
who you talking to?
You said you're gonna tell us the truth. What were you saying? What were you telling us
I
before?
I, I I don't remember, but what you just said made me
Was it
actually.
true?
Oh, you know what? I know what I was gonna say. I know what I was gonna say. I think a lot of this us and we and I liked what Hitch said earlier about really getting down to defining it before you having a conversation. Um, some of this us and we, bro, shit to me feels like it feels like trauma, bro. Like other people don't talk like this. Like I like we talk like white people are having secret meetings and organizing and this is what we as the white folks is gonna like. This shit sounds crazy as fuck. Like I almost wanna. The other day on the pseudo killers in the pseudo killer server, I had said that I got to back off of blanketing insulting Pan Africanism because I have a lot of people who I respect who believe in that shit. I'm not so sure if I even want to. Now I feel like I want to back off with my back off because like I respect the seat up, but the nigga sounded crazy as fuck here to me. I didn't even hear all of the conversation, but the shit sounded fucking crazy. I just don't know. Like humans are tribalistic. Uh, People don't do this. And what I mean by hurt is like it seems like we're the only people who talk like this with this us and we and put other people this monolithic speaking. You know what I mean? Like in other words, Mexicans stick together in California because they came here and they have a culture. It's their culture. That's
Yeah,
what
but
the fuck they do.
it's not just culture
Uh
though.
huh.
It's
What else is it?
no, it's just you got different religions, you got different politics, you got
Right.
different classes. Like even amongst white Americans, right? Everybody's white American. You ever seen that movie Wrong Turn? Where they make the wrong turn into the
I
Appalachian
love Wrong
Mountains?
Turn.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Them white people the hills have no eyes, those white people. See, white people will tell you quick, that ain't me. Hold on, let me turn my wait.
And that's my and
Hey.
Brass. That's my point. That's my point. That's exactly my point.
No, I'm just
Keep
but
preaching.
even amongst that, so you can lump together. Hold on one second. My wife is look here, you Caucasian woman. Quiet down. So anyway, I gotta keep her in order. White woman talk crazy. No, hey Dad, they say
need you the driest biscuit.
When I start talking about politics, all the crazy people that's online, they say I know he has a white wife, so I just tell everybody, and now I'm talking to my white wife's father now, just so y'all know. So anyway, but but when you start talking about Asians, you can lump all Chinese, Japanese, and Indians and Arabs and Filipinos. You can call them all Asian, but they all got different history, all got different interests. That's why this goal, you don't understand.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Goal of this whole goal of in a integrated system. This goal of somehow trying to succeed within an integrated system, outside of its system,
integrated system,
it doesn't make sense. Matter of fact, you're gonna be so caught up in just getting the people, and that's what's going on right now. It's a whole lot of talk, Pan-Africanism, but as soon as they start trying to execute the Pan-Africanism, they realize how difficult it is, and they stop.
Right.
And then now what happens? I mean, think about us amongst black people. Soon as you tell them you voted for Trump, as far as the group don't even want to deal with you no more. Think about that.
Brass, I'm glad you brought up Asians, because I can speak to it. My mother of four of my children is Laotian, right? And I'm just here to tell you, them you could say the word Asians, that shit don't mean shit to them. Laotian people do not fuck with Vietnamese people. Vietnamese people ain't got shit to do with Southeast Asians, like the fucking like that like you would sound crazy to these people if you were to say some Pan-Asian shit. Listen, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you how crazy it is. My baby mama goes to the quote unquote Asian store, right? Now let me explain to you what that is. It's a store that deals with a bunch of different Asian cultural shit, right? But here's the thing: she goes to her part, the Laotian part, right? She don't deal with the Vietnamese part. She don't deal with the Korean part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
it's just what
the question is why would you? There'd be no need for her.
That's what I'm saying. She has nothing to do with that shit.
Like, for example, Logic, you from New Orleans. Southern food to Logic is boudin and what else? What else would it be? Logic, beignet, jambalaya, gumbo, stuff like that. Now, Southern food to my people is collard greens, candy yams, stuff like that. Southern food to people in Florida, all black now. Southern food to them is completely different than that. You're talking about conch and all that other stuff. So just the amount of just trying to get everybody on the same page with that is to call a Puerto Rican a Mexican in New York. You're gonna slap the taste out your mouth. Because it's a complete difference. And that's why I say no race is monolithic. So when they say things, I don't like to hear things when people say blacks don't have a plan and Asians are somehow they're financially unified. It's like, no. There might be what it is, which is it's a term called visible coordination. So visible coordination means it's just when you see this group, you just affix that to that particular group because that's what you see. But in essence, some of this stuff like you'll see like the Holocaust memories and stuff like that. So you'll think Jews are just some kind of monolithic group, but they're not. Chinese immigrants, because you got Chinatown and stuff. No, you just see Chinatown and you think all Chinese are like that. The Cuban Americans in Miami. It looks like they're unified, but if you looked at all of them, they're not. Armenians and stuff like that. You think that they are? No, they just group together, and that's just what you see.
Well,
So,
hell,
what you saying,
even with some of those groups that you were just mentioning, there's some commonality, right? But if you talk about a group like the Asians, we're talking about each different group has a different language, a different religion, a different thing. So I'm talking about if you say Asian, that don't mean shit. Like like Southeast Asians, some are Buddhists, right? A lot of them are Buddhists, but then again, there's a whole different population of Southeast Asians that are completely Christian. They don't know nothing about that, no motherfucking Buddha and no temple and none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? And between the two groups, they speak a different language. They have nothing to do with each other. So if you're just looking at a person with a eye thing and you just grouping them together, like that would be, it'd actually be fucking racist. You know, so talking all of this Pan-African and United, like nah, bro, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's romanticism at a certain point, because dark skin, I don't want to even say black people, dark skinned people in general, we ain't a monolith. You know, like I might not agree with what the fuck you want to do or how the fuck you see things and this, that, and the other. People organize within small groups. They don't organize like all of a whole race gonna do some shit. This shit sounds fucking crazy to me. And I actually,
y'all capping.
what you say, Chef?
Y'all capping.
All right, well, go ahead and tell me how that shit works, then. This nigga.
This sounds good. You feel me? But people group together for a reason. You feel me? All of us on here come from different parts of the country. Yo, there's so much commonality between us as black people. So I don't even know what y'all saying at this point. You feel me? I don't even know what y'all saying.
Okay,
No,
what I'm saying, Chef, I can tell you what I'm saying.
Just tell them the overarching conversation. The overarching conversation is when they kept. Matter of fact, let me just stop for half a second. Happy birthday. First.
Happy birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, nigga. That's the most important thing.
Happy birthday, Chef. Congratulations.
I forgot to just say it. Happy birthday.
So what you doing for your 60th?
He said that man
Supposed to do
60.
something special for your 60th birthday.
This
I know you
nigga,
ain't cutting hair 60 years old. It's time for it.
Hell no, I'm gonna sit my old ass down.
But no, it was the conversation. It's the same Pan-African, you know, we got to do this, we got to do this, us, we got to do this hour. And they got all these great plans, but they never stop to, like, who's the we y'all talking about? And where is this race where they just 99% all agree on what the race needs to do next versus what the individual household does? So I'm not talking about, I agree with you, we have commonalities. But I'm saying commonalities to try to bring a monolithic movement together. I just think it's unrealistic. I don't think it's realistic. So I'm just looking at the individual differences just amongst ourselves. And I'm not even talking about, then now you start talking about Jamaicans, Haitians, and who do you even consider foundational Black Americans? Because then what, we can't talk to ADOS? Or then what? Everybody came from Africa, so we leaving out the other people of color. So I get what you're saying. We have commonality.
When have our issues never been the same, though?
No,
as
all
African Americans. Like I'm
the same. You know,
no,
you about to
no. I'm saying when was we ever confused about our issues? Now every family had personal issues. I agree. But as a whole, African Americans, had common issues that affected us all. They was the things that united us together. So if y'all
Yeah,
saying that the
that's
things that we, you know what I mean, that we commonly
mhm.
face as a group don't exist because you live in one part of the country, and that's not true for African Americans. I'm
Yeah,
saying,
Chef. Chef,
Hold on,
I'm gonna
hold on,
stop you
Small.
before you go down this.
Before you
But
switch it,
wait, I'm
Small.
trying to help him. I'm trying to
No,
help
don't
him
help him nothing. Let
because
him
he's
stay
he's
right where he
he's
at.
having a different conversation.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell him. Let him do it on his birthday.
no, let me
Go
do
ahead and
this
finish.
because
Go ahead and
I
finish.
think y'all was talking about reparations, right?
No, I wasn't
And-
talking about reparations.
no, well,
No,
I
that's
heard,
what I'm
I heard.
saying. The
No,
conversation went a bunch of different places.
Let
okay,
him finish.
fine. I don't need kids, so if I'm confused, I'm helping somebody else not be confused. When I hear y'all talking about reparations on one hand, and then start talking about what black people are not, as wise together, or not one monolithic group, it will make like our issues have always been the thing that gave us commonality. You dig what I'm saying? Like being African American. So I think it's more in common in who we are as a people, has a direct history. And I think it affects all of us as African Americans. So, you know what I mean? And it affects Caribbeans. It affects Caribbeans and Africans to a lesser degree. You know what I mean? So, even when I do my ADOS or FBA thing, I still recognize that people of the same ancestry, African ancestry, face similar issues from having this ancestry background. So they and in a larger picture, they are part of it also, even when they don't even recognize that they are. So that's
Even
my
regionally,
I was about
amongst
to. Oh, go ahead.
even regionally amongst black people, the regions of us don't face the same issues. The Midwest is more about the factories and industrialization. The South is more the deep the like the they have probably more racism, I would assume. You go out to the West Coast, that's gangs and immigration and housing, and then you go out to like forget the areas of the country, but just look at the people, the rural African Americans. They have way different challenges than I would out here in New Jersey. So I'm not saying that we don't have. If you're saying all of those things are now African American problems, then I would agree. My challenge to you though is I don't think a black person in California that's dealing with bad schools and sending her child to school through gang neighborhoods cares anything about the GM factory that closed in Detroit, that doesn't care anything about the farmer who can't get subsidies from the government, who cares anything about the levees in New Orleans. So I'm saying, if you could say these are all the same issues, possibly, but but then you gotta, how you gonna get these people to care and then say you're supposed to care because we're all African American? I just don't think that's realistic.
All right. So when black people got on buses and went down into the South from New York and Philadelphia and Baltimore and all these places to go down in the South, the Freedom Riders and stuff. Now, just because they didn't have the same civic issues as other African Americans in those, they still seen a commonality. You dig what I'm saying? So for some reason, you saying that just because I'm in Ohio and my issues is factories, you dig what I'm saying? And you in California, your issue is Mexican gangs, that we still don't see, a commonality in black people where we face systemic racism and oppression, no matter what's the economic or, you know what I mean? Those issues don't negate the commonality of our problems just because of where you locally live. We still recognize. What are we saying?
No, they do.
Well,
I think in the '60s, if you're gonna go all the way back to the '60s, the reason why the commonality.
I hate when y'all say that.
No, well, I'm
In the
talking because I'm
60s,
talking
your
about.
parents was alive.
Yeah, that's
Like
true, but it's
so what?
2020. Hold
Yeah,
on, hold
like
on.
nigga,
I know.
this is a world.
Listen, in your old age, you just got a little older. Calm down. Don't, your pressure and all of that. Don't do that. But what I'm saying to you is the reason why I say go back to the 60s is because the majority of people on this call, matter of fact, I don't think anyone on this call was born before the Civil Rights Bill passed. So the reason why I say that is when you say the commonality, is because while they all did have different issues, they did have this one commonality called segregation. So they could all.
No, they didn't. Everybody, all black people in the country didn't face segregation.
No, I didn't say no. What I'm saying is there was a. Well, you didn't let me finish. That's
okay.
one
My
thing.
bad. Go
So I was about to say segregation, voting rights, and then I guess it would be even no matter if you was a black lawyer or a black maid, you all sat at the back of the bus. Well, I'm talking. Were you talking about them? Are you talking about everybody in the country, or maybe I don't understand what you're saying?
Black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
All black people didn't face that, depending on where you lived at.
Nah,
so all of us recognize
I got you.
That was a problem.
It was like a shared pain. It was a shared pain. Okay,
you know what I mean? So just because you live in one part of the country,
but I don't think that's today though, because even though racism is still real, like I said, it was a shared pain because even if you were a black doctor, you were still a nigga. But if you're a black doctor today,
you saying that don't exist no more?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I'm telling you, in 2025, it is still real, but it doesn't touch everybody like you think. It just doesn't. It does not. There are some people that will take their funds and insulate themselves. They'll take their class status and insulate themselves. Remember, now that we got Jack, remember I was telling you the other day about one of the reasons I had like a bit of a flawed understanding. Like I'm glad I grew up on a farm and grew up in the projects. Because in either one of them situations, I wouldn't really know what the other one was like or if he even existed. And then I also got the mix of going to Jack and Jill. And I know for a fact that life of the cotillions and Jack and Jill and all of that, I didn't have a shared pain. Once we got to a certain economic level, we didn't have the same. I felt all three. And I'm telling you for a fact, I didn't have the same issues as a kid from the inner city later in my high school years.
That's economics. That's something different.
Feel that. No, but I mean, I'm talking about, it's all the same touch, but it don't feel the same, Chef. I don't know if you can understand that, but
poor people have their own set of issues, right? I'm not negating that. So if you just placing economic hardship on what the general black experience is, that's not what I'm saying. Okay. You know what I mean? Because in that sense, you will have more in common. A poor person will have more in common. White poor people and black poor people will have similar issues.
Yeah, and when you go to them areas, they tend to band together. That's why you see it now. All them southern white rappers rapping about the same stuff Shiesty and them were rapping about, and people listening to it because they all grew up together.
Because that's strictly an economic issue, right? So I'm saying black people, regardless of your economic status, still have issues that face all of us. Independent of economic status. You dig what I'm saying? And they're the things that we band around. You dig what I'm saying?
I know, I dig what you're saying, but give me an example.
Meaning, a black person, you drive into an urban area. Right? If you drive into an urban area and you're 2025 Acura, you dig what I'm saying? You are going to be looked at the same way as any other black person in that urban area with a 2025 Acura or Mercedes. It's going to be the same racialized antagonism against you. Don't nobody know how much money you have when you walk in the bank. You dig what I'm saying? You got to prove all of that stuff. You dig what I'm saying? Like, and that's when the situation changed. So I'm saying black people face common shit as black people that we all understand, irregardless of economic status. Regardless of what part of the country they live in. You know what I
Wouldn't
mean?
you
That's
agree
just
that
you
economics
always do
softens
that.
that a little bit though? Because
Yeah, yeah,
even if
definitely.
I'm in that 2025 Acura driving through that urban place, I have insurance, I have registration, and
The
a
drug
lawyer.
dealer got all the same thing.
Well, possibly, but he riding
They
dirty
they
most
they
times.
see you. They see when he got a 2025.
No.
Trust me.
But I'm talking about. But here's the economic part. What I'm saying, you're saying. Um, but he might have one, but he ain't got mine. And I'm not trying to compare lawyers a money fight, but I'm just saying economics and a certain level of status does lessen the blow. When I get pulled over, it's like it doesn't, it's just I don't know. I think that's another good conversation. We just come up with those
Mhm.
like it's nothing, but yeah, I think that'd be a good conversation because I'm not gonna be for me, I know we all have some of the same issues, but I don't understand anymore. I probably did before, but I don't understand anymore a family of 5 in Memphis. I don't know what they go through. I just don't. And I would assume we go through the same things, but it's got to be some nuance to it just based on region. That's just my opinion. That's just what I
No,
think.
I agree. I agree with nuance, but nuance does not overlap the general overall issues. You know what I mean? Like that would just be crazy to act like the 11% or 12% of the population that for the most part comes out of slavery, Jim Crow, and segregation don't have common issues or commonality between them. Like even when you said the food in different areas vary, right? But still at its core, a lot of things are going to be the same. What African American group don't like macaroni and cheese? What group don't make the sweet potato? You dig what I'm saying?
Here's the
You
thing, and I
know,
kind of
you can be in Florida, and y'all have y'all local shit, but in general, I think we all we come on, yo, like it ain't the same. Like I never think.
that's why I was trying to stop you, but I kind of get why Brad stopped me from stopping you. It makes sense now, because we don't even agree within the U.S., right? But the conversation that we were having, and the only reason why I was trying to stop you earlier is because you're kind of having a different conversation. Because I thought that we would agree on most of what you were saying, but I guess there is some nuances there, right? But what the conversation was like, and where you came in and where you might have been hearing some shit that you didn't like was talking about us black people in the US and in a sense our commonalities or us needing to link up with continental Africans, and that's where I was saying like, oh, you came in and you might have heard people saying like that shit's crazy as fuck, because at a certain point,
I don't totally disagree that we,
right?
but go ahead. Like
No, and you don't totally disagree, and that's fine. But it's just that the conversation that was happening, I guarantee if you would, and there's no disrespect to my homie, see, like if you would have just heard some of where he was going with the shit, I know you would have disagreed. Because it gets to a certain point where the Pan African shit just sounds fucking nuts. Because it's just lumping a bunch of dark people together and telling them, and that's what more of what we were talking about. Like, so when you came in, we weren't talking about like black people within the United States not having commonalities or having a cultural experience that's shared or this, that, and the other. We were more talking about that. You know what I mean? But now
see, that's
go
my
ahead.
point. My point is that whenever I hear it read up amongst us, you know what I mean, it needs to be it needs to be nipped in the bud because 11, 12% of the population, we can't afford, you know what I mean, to act like we not a group. That's not, that shit would not help us. So we can't even play those type of games. You feel me?
Okay,
Like
I'm with that.
I get where you're coming from, Chef. So how you
we
feel
can't
about this,
afford
right?
that.
I don't like. So this is where I would differ for what Brass was saying. I think that you could connect their struggles, obviously, right? But their solutions might be like so far apart. You follow
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like them people in them different areas of the country, you know, even though both of their problems might be stemming from systemic racism, like the way that they gotta solve it in their particular area is
I
going to
got
be
you.
Might be
not,
I'm
different.
with you. I'm
not
with you.
connected at
Right.
all.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those issues come from a common issue. You know what I mean? So it, if we don't have common, if you look at the statistics, and we always talk about it, how do Black people all over the country is at the bottom of every measurable statistic in the country? But then I turn around and act like we have individual issues. Nah, bro. It, that wouldn't make, like, we about to trip ourselves for no reason. And now I get it, the pressure of being Black. We also want the individual freedom that other groups have to just do, but we're not there yet. And there's no point in deluding ourselves about it. Yes, I want the freedom, you know what I mean, of white people, and I could just be strictly an individual and do whatever and don't have to think about my larger group. I wish, you dig what I'm saying, that we could live like that, but we don't have that luxury. You feel me? And I hate when we walk around and act like we do have that luxury. You know what I mean? Because we don't. You know what I mean? And that's
Well,
just real.
I would say the difference from those other groups, right, is how we got here versus how they got here, right? So
Okay.
like when I talk about like the Mexican store, the Asian store and shit like that, right? You have to understand these motherfuckers came here voluntarily, right? So they bought a culture with them. So they set up stores, they grouped together, they organized within those cultural boundaries, right? Versus us, you know, I mean, you got to think like we some stolen property type of people. We didn't come over here still speak, or we did, but nigga, I don't know what language my ancestors spoke when they came here. Like I know I speak English now, so I can unify around that. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? I can organize with people who are close to me, and it might look different from organizing from a whole bunch of people in Tennessee organizing or people in New York organizing, right? But my thing is, it's kind of, I don't even like comparing our situation to other groups because these motherfuckers, like these people come over here they, voluntarily. Like nobody rounded up a bunch of Mexicans or Asians or this,
You
that, and the
don't know that.
other.
You
And
don't know that.
I mean,
You don't know what the pressure is to make them come over this stuff.
You don't got to
but
round them up, but if you make it impossible for them wherever they live, you might as well have
Mm-hmm.
rounded them up.
Yeah.
And see,
okay,
like, listen,
now that's true. That's
and
true.
where Chef is correct, and this is where I think the Pan Africanism fails. It assumes that, and that's why people think it's so unrealistic. But if we did more of an overlapping, now this is where I'll agree with Chef. We may not all
Mhm.
share the same social issues, but there are definitely some that we do share.
Overlap.
So
Right.
if we meet in the middle, like, yeah, you worried about Bloods and Crips, cool. You worried about this, cool. You worried about that, cool. But we all got a police brutality issue. We all have a wealth gap issue. There are some things that are shared. And if we focus in on the overlaps and allow people to be themselves, then there's no concern of mine. It's when you think somehow Now that a black farmer and his subsidies means anything to someone in California with gang members or someone in Detroit with deindustrialization, then that's a flawed effect because they just don't care. But what you can get us all to galvanize on is a political block. We all suffer from lack of political representation. Even the rich one, the poor one, the economic one, the creative one, we all suffer from lack of political representation, wealth, and that inequality. Because even that rich black person is not really a rich black person when he gets into a room with even the least rich white person damn near in the room. So when you go into we all have that kind of isolation. Poor people feel like ain't nobody there for them. And then there are times when the rich guy goes into a room and he feels like ain't nobody there for them, and he don't get the same access to build his empire larger. So if that's what he's saying, the overlapping, I agree. But we don't all share the same issues. But if we're gonna galvanize on those issues that bring us together, and then when we create a bank, don't create a bank just for black people. Just create a damn bank. And then put all of the funds out, and then we can start helping those factory issues in Detroit, those safety and school issues that we got in California. Start building institutions, create a political bloc. Like I said, we have a financial literacy issue, but on top of a financial literacy issue, we have an access to capital issue. So you can't financial literacy. It does matter. It makes you work good with what little bit you got. But if you take access to capital and put it with that financial literacy, now you got a superhuman.
And here's the thing, though, Brass. Taking it back to the original conversation, we can do all of that because we can sort out and find those overlapping issues that we should focus on, right? But I don't know how the fuck to include a Nigerian or goddamn Rwandan I don't know how to include continental Africans in the goddamn conversation and make it beneficial. And that's what that was the initial crux of the conversation, Chef. Because like think about it. We're having an entire conversation about how we can find commonalities to organize and do such and such here. So I don't know what the fuck the original conversation with Brother Reggie and C-Dot was somehow including continental Africans in that shit. And at that point, you'd be completely fucking lost. I would be lost as to how. I don't know their fucking problems. Their problems aren't my problems. We're talking about how Californian problems ain't goddamn Baltimore problems, and Baltimore problems ain't goddamn Atlanta problems. Let's throw Nigeria in it because them niggas is dark skinned like us, or because some of us came from there. It gets fucking crazy, bro. Other human beings just don't think like that, bro. I don't know. Logic, it sounds like you are building a whole something over there. I don't know what you're building. It sounds like you constructed some shit. Oh, well, the conversation is going all over the place, bro.
I just finished. So I can get out. I can stop making noise. But I mean, that's actually unbelievably complicated. I think when you really try to get to the bottom of all of that, I think it's really complicated when you're talking about then you want to politicize it to a place where you almost have to you got to be forward thinking in a way that you might actually need to go beyond what's real right now. You know what I'm saying? So Because right now you can't see this large particular group, but you would have to imagine that in order to, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's not wrong. It's not wrong to actually do it. So, but I think that's incredibly nuanced, and I don't know. I think
But
both
when it
sides
gets
have good points. I don't think that
it
there's a
gets to
right
a
answer.
certain it gets to a certain point though, Logic, where it becomes fantastical though. And that's a lot of what I heard in this conversation this morning. A lot of fucking fantasy. And I and it, most of them, yeah, see, I don't want to keep
Just say
chastising
the
the
shit,
brother.
man.
Out of here, but see that you already knew what I'm talking about, bro. Like that when you go too deep into that Pan African shit, bro, it gets weird and it gets complicated and I don't understand the benefits, because look at how much of a conversation we can get into about right here on the continent of the United States and how different and how difficult it would be for us to organize, even as Black folks. And then when you, like I said, when you add that other element, bro, like it just if that's what you were speaking to, bro, that's where the conversation gets sloppy, and to me, it gets into fantasy because something like this shit just it gets retarded at a certain point. Like let's just
My least favorite part. My least favorite part now is definitely like when I hear C dot, I hear war, I hear conflict. Like the fact that
yeah.
he won't admit it, like that's where I'm like, so now it makes me feel like you ain't thought this out or something. Like so
Yeah,
you're
it's
complaining about being the minority in America, and you feel you gonna change that without conflict. Like what? Like you know what I'm saying? Like what are you actually talking about? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like we might just need to scrap that page out the whole plan. You know what I'm saying? If it's contingent upon going head up with America, we might need to rethink that. That's
and
just
and,
that's
and,
just all I'm
and
saying.
just some of the ways that we we talk when it comes to that Pan African bullshit. Like if you were to hear, like imagine this was a group of white people talking the way we were talking right now.
Oh, we'd
Like,
be ready to burn that shit down, man.
yeah,
Burn that
it's
shit down to
crazy
the
as
ground.
fuck. You know what I mean? The black man, this, we gotta unite. It's cracking. I'm just saying, bro. Like it's, I don't know. But I guess I'm a coon for even saying that. Let me shut the fuck up.
You a what?
Nigga called himself a coon.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, yeah, because that's what I'd be called for even bringing up that point. The fact that, because I said earlier, like we talk like some fucking traumatized people. No, like the people who we sort of indict with these grand plans, they not only don't do it, but if we were to hear the quote unquote meetings that we claim happened, and we would hear like a bunch of white people talking about how they were going to get together, and like that's not how the shit happened. Like just imagine that shit.
Well, it
You
doesn't have
know?
to. It doesn't have to. The difference is there are subtle shifts you can make. There's no political block.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have political representation in a country like the United States of America, you're always going to feel pain as a group.
Right.
Because the politicians have no reason to do anything for you at all as a group. So that's where Chef would be 100% correct, because when those political groups get up there, there's the Spanish one, the Asian one, the LGBTQ,
Any
the Jewish
marginalized
one.
group.
Well, not even
Right.
no, they don't got to be marginalized. They just got to be a group to have one. So
Okay.
so when you have one, like for example, there was a during COVID in New York. For some reason, I don't know, I need somebody from out here to concur, but for some reason, Asian people just started getting beat up by black people. It was like a Asian thing. They made it like all over the news. They were showing black people walking up, beating up Asian people, right?
I think I
Now,
remember
when
that.
you looked at the stats, it wasn't even a real thing. It was just because they have representation in New York, voting representation, a political bloc in New York, they can bring attention to, you know, 20 crimes involving blacks and Asians and turn it into something else. And then they could turn that thing into legislation and a lot of attention and a lot of funding. And then now there's a law where certain crimes can be turned into hate crimes because, you know, and all of that is because of political representation. Because if you don't do it, you may not be elected again.
Like grown man, yeah, right fucking.
So
Actually, I do remember that. I
yeah,
remember that because
so they have
remember,
that kind of power.
yeah. Now that I remember, the reason for it was because it was so propaganda is a word
Yeah, it
that
was
we
like it
bought it.
wasn't really, and
Yeah,
it
it wasn't
wasn't
even
never like
really
a
a
hate
thing.
thing. Yeah, it wasn't a
Yeah,
hate thing. It wasn't like a black people hate Asians. It was just they had enough power to make it a thing. Like for example, you can say we have social pressures that we can affiliate. Let the wrong person say NIGGA and and you know, we can put their job on social media and Black Twitter can get to work and Instagram can get to work and then we'll call the job and this, that, and the other. And then we'll see a message later, hey, he got fired. And we'll all celebrate like we all did it. But that's just the social pressures of stuff like that. But now call a Jewish person the wrong name and the Anti-Defamation League will make your life very difficult. No matter who you are, of any kind of status, it doesn't matter. So
the ADL is not playing with niggas.
Right, but but Jews have a very powerful political bloc. And then you go also, forget the actual racial blocks that people have. Now you can go in big pharma. Our race is not represented very well in big pharma, and pharma is one of the largest lobbying sectors. So even within that, you don't have to petition politicians. You petition big pharma to make sure that your race is represented. To where in our area we do a crackdown on crime for selling opioids and using them, whereas in other areas you just get rehab centers, a lot of good therapy, and more of a different story, a different painting. So the politics is a very interesting thing. I just don't ever think the solution is a whole bunch of black people move to one place. Because it just to me it's not how the United States runs. And if we're all talking about going to a whole another place, then I would be confused because I don't think Africa really I don't think that they care. I don't think in my opinion that Africa is concerned. You know, they're trying to put all those countries. Their Pan Africanism is the actual Pan Africanism, in my opinion. They're trying to put those countries together over there. I don't think that their whole goal. I don't think the AU's goal is to somehow get those countries together over there, and then also
and unite with some niggas in Detroit.
Go get the guys from Detroit and then go get some people from Jamaica and go. I mean, and you can tell that because they don't allow non-African countries to join the AU. Even ones that share, you know, a lot of the same issues, like Haiti and Jamaica, they don't allow that. You can watch, but you can't.
Because everybody's problems are fucking different, and
bro, no, they're specific in their goal. The African Union is
so right
community. It ain't got nothing to do with Pan. You know, that's not their goal.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Like it has nothing to do with Jamaican unity and issues in Jamaica or Haiti. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not. That's not what it is. Like you know, everybody got their own goddamn problems. You know, and so Chef, when you come in here and you hear